By the end of this video, you will have built your very own no-code AI agent in under an hour. AI agents are replacing jobs, and those who can build and manage them are the future of the workforce. It can help you save time, help you scale your business, and make you exponentially more productive. Let's start now. What is an AI agent? Basically, at a high level, it's a three-step process. You have an input. It'll go through our function machine where we have LLMs and different tools set up, and you'll get an output. So what is an input, for example? You can think of a lead that comes in, any type of business at all, service-based or different. It'll run through an LLM. We can do some research on it, qualify the lead, and we can automatically generate an output for it, which could be an email or a phone call. We can also think of maybe social media. What is an input there? What's trending? What are the people talking about? We can run it through an LLM or do some research on it and then generate an output. What could be an automatic post. It could be an automatic video generation. It could be an automatic video generation with edits. We can also think of financial information. Maybe a new order comes in or financial information changes or a company valuation changes. We can run it through our function machine and generate a new report or generate a new valuation for the company. And this is all running in the background. So pretty much once you set this up, this agent does all the work for you. You get an input and instantaneously you'll get an output. This is just such a force multiplier for you because once you set them up, again, you can go do higher level things. You can focus your time on doing maybe other tasks that you hadn't been able to get to. And you can also run these for businesses to really improve the efficiency of businesses. And a lot of people are right to call out that people who don't understand agents or learn these automations will get left behind in the workforce because a lot of businesses are starting to use them. And this is such a huge unlock for productivity. A lot of agents will be able to do people's jobs. The people who understand the agents, can manage the agents, will really be key value players for businesses. AI agents fall into two buckets, a predictable flow and an unpredictable flow. So right here we have the first one, which is a predictable flow. We can think of these as very sequential and very linear. So you'll have an input, a piece of information, where you'll run it through some tools, an LLM, and you'll get an output. But you want to repeat that process over and over and over again. Nothing changes. It's just running through the assembly line just to get you an output. So this is very good for setting up an AI automation. This can be done with no code, by the way. So we'll give an example. You get a new lead. You want to do research on the lead, for example. What zip code is it from? What type of service are they looking for? Are they qualified? You'll run it through an LLM as well, where you'll get an email generated for you, the text, the paragraphs, some of the contact information, and then that email gets sent for you. You can also set it up so that the agent actually calls your leads. And again, if you just think about this from a human perspective, if you're in sales or you're kind of managing clients, this is near instantaneous. So as leads come in, all this will be generated for you and an email will be sent out. So whereas the superpower is you'll basically manage the agent because then you can just maybe set a QC at what does the email look like? You read through the email, edit it a little bit, and then send it out. But again, imagine if you had to do this all yourself, from getting a new lead, doing all the research, and then sending the email, versus now you get a new lead and you're just kind of editing and looking over an email that was generated for you. It is such a force multiplier. We have our second type of agent here, which is working with unpredictable information. So you're really depending on the agent to make decisions for you and act autonomously to get you an output. So when we're looking at this, you'll have an input, it'll interact with an LLM, but then it'll go through some different tools and then give you an output. Say you want some research done. You'll set up the tools and the LLM, no code by the way, and you'll get a research report. Or if you're thinking of a business plan, you'll be able to run it through an agent and it'll generate a business plan for you, but it's acting autonomously. It's doing the research. It's looking, maybe, is this a good idea? What does the market say? You can also think of maybe a script where you're creating a script based on the trending topics on social media and it'll generate a script for you. These are a little bit more wonky right now just because you're really depending on the LLMs to do a lot of the heavy lift and sometimes they'll hallucinate. but you can kind of see where the direction of the industry is going, where you're actually able to get an output that is very useful today, let alone a year from now or 2 years from now. And you have to be very careful here, because you don't want to use this type of setup for linear and sequential information. So when we're thinking again about the leads and the automating correspondence with them, we could set it up in this fashion, but it would take way more time. You'd have way more hallucinations and a higher error rate, because again, you're really depending on the LLM. To summarize the two buckets, we have sequential and unpredictable. People are using them interchangeably right now for agents, but when you have a sequential situation, people will use the terms automations or workflows, because there's something that isn't necessarily depending on autonomous agents to think by themselves. When you're thinking about LLMs or agents actually going out there and doing the research and communicating and actually generating their own results, the linear flows aren't necessarily as autonomous, because it's a setup automation. Some of the differences between the sequential setup we looked at and the unpredictable setup we looked at are the cost efficiency, right? We have a situation where in the lead example, we have a very predictable and consistent path. We're going to get an email, we're going to get a phone call from the lead, we're going to qualify it, and we're going to send an output in terms of an email or a phone call to them. It's very predictable and consistent. It's also very easy to build and maintain, as we'll see with no-code examples. There are low failure risks. Why? We have first event A happens, then B, then C, then D. There isn't an overlap where we have different dependencies, or we're dependent on an LLM or a different type of research that can cause something to break. We're just sending an email or a phone call. These are things that we can scale very easily. It's literally just something happened, then we trigger the next event and the next event, ultimately to get to our desired output, which in the case of following up with leads was maybe an email or a phone call. When you look at the current landscape, less than 40% of small businesses have adopted AI tools, and most of these companies are stuck using a ChatGPT or a basic form of an LLM. There is just huge demand for automated workflows, and it's just absolutely exploding for AI agents. If you think of AI agents and workflows, they can work 24/7. Freelancers are out there charging hundreds of dollars to build custom agents for businesses. A lot of people are consulting businesses to make them exponentially more efficient by implementing some of these agents and automations as well. You are very early, but the important thing to know, AI agents and automations are coming to every vertical of the workforce. Every industry will be touched by this. And again, the people who do not understand these tools will get left behind. Given that AI agents are going to touch every single industry, we started a community in which we release new automations and new agents every single day. So regardless of what vertical you're in, what industry you're in, AI agents are going to impact every single one. Every one will be touched by these agents. And again, if you don't have the skills to manage the agents or build the agents, you will be left behind. The people in the workforce of the future will be able to manage these. Again, going back to the example of client outreach, you're just managing a bunch of agents who are taking an input, which is a lead, and sending an email, which is the output. That person is exponentially more productive than someone who's actually doing that all themselves. Given that this is going to go into every industry, think about joining our community and learning agents that can be impactful to you, regardless of what industry you're in. We will take you from a beginner who knows nothing about agents to developing and building agents that you can actually send out in the real world for your specific vertical, regardless of what industry you're in. So you'll go from 0 to 1 and actually be able to use these tools to make yourself more productive. So to get started, the first thing we want to do is go to N8N.io. As you can see from the landing page, they do a great job of showing the user interface here. It's very similar to the lectures we just had previously, where you see an input, you see an AI agent using some tools and then creating an output for you. You can see how many different apps it integrates with. I mean, really, and the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So regardless of what you're using or the task that you're doing, you can really incorporate it into so many different lines of work. They also have some case studies here that you can look at. They make an emphasis on not needing code, but also they have an opportunity to use code to get a little more technical and more detailed for very particular things that you want to complete. They really push the scale that they can automate things at, and it's really true. There are so many different things that you can do based on just all the plugins you just saw. There really is no limit to what you can automate, and it's great again for businesses or consulting businesses because you'll be able to just increase the productivity so much by incorporating some of these automations and agents. Here is the pricing page. As you can see, you have different tiers. It's really dependent on how many users you need, how many different executions you're going to run, and the complexity of agents and automations that you're going to build out. So you can look through this on your own time, but they do offer free trials on all the packages here. We'll just click Get Started up here. And now we can set up our 14-day free trial from this screen. So you just fill in the information. And then we'll just click start the 14-day free trial, and that'll get us going. This is the overview page. You have a dashboard with very useful metrics here that can help you track how you're doing. You can also start from scratch or use simple AI agents to kind of test out examples to see how they work. The first thing that we can see are the executions. This basically shows you how many production executions have been completed in the past 7 days. Again, this doesn't include any test runs. It's only things that are live. We also have failure executions here. So you can see in the past 7 days how many failures have happened. So as you keep track of that number, if something spikes, you know maybe something broke or there's an issue with an agent or automation, so you can go in and correct it. We also have the failure rate, which is a great metric to keep track of, because as we get better at creating agents and automations, we'd ideally like to see that percentage go down. It's something to monitor, so if it spikes, you know something broke, you might have to go back and debug some automations. Time saved shows you your ROI on how many hours you've saved over the past 7 days by running these agents. So if we think back to our simple example of getting a lead, following up with that lead, how much time does that take for a person to do? Researching the lead, the zip code, etc. The agent in automation would do it, and that will give you so many hours back. This is a great way to see all the productivity you're getting back in your life or contributing to your business by setting up these agents and automations. Runtime shows how many seconds it takes your agent or automation to run. It's an important metric because as you start thinking about bringing in LLMs or different tools that may cost per usage or have a token fee, you really want to think about the most optimal way from going from input to output. And this is where communities come in handy, because we have a bunch of templates in our community. We have a lot of optimizations already built in, and we also have a bunch of people in different verticals. So whatever you're working on, you can get help. We help you. And also people may have built it out before. So it's a great way to build something very specific to your use case, and it'll save you a bunch of time. On the left, we have a personal tab. This is a place where you can create your own workflows. You can also test out a simple AI agent here. But for example, if we click one from scratch, you can go ahead and name it. This is a place where you'll build out a workflow, an agent. And then if we go back and click on personal, we can see it's in here. So all the workflows that you create will come in here. Again, back to the organizational structure, you kind of want to really think about how you're organizing these, because as you build a bunch of workflows in different projects, you want to have a good system to easily get to them and recall them. Now to the left, the Shared With You tab. This is a place where you'll see different agents and automations that people have shared with you. So if you're working with a group or a team, the workflows will show up here. So to the left, we have the Projects tab. We'll go ahead and click Add Project. We can name this My Test, and we'll go ahead and save this project. You really want to think about how you're naming projects, because as you work with maybe different clients, or you're working with different verticals, or you're finding a way to store these agents and templates, you want to be able to recall them relatively quickly. So In these, we can also add workflows. So if we go to workflow here, we can create a workflow. We'll call it, and we'll save it. So now when we click on our projects, we see the workflow that we created inside of it. We can also create another workflow. And if we save this one, when we look at our projects, we have two workflows. We can also create a folder. From here, we can drag and drop some of the workflows we created into the folder. So there we are. And then we come in, we open up our folder, we see the two workflows that we created. This is why it's so important to think about how you want to structure your file system, because it can get tricky really fast and you don't want to be stuck around clicking to find a certain automation you want. So really think about it and make something that's optimal for you. On the left, you have the admin panel, place where you can upgrade the plan and also adjust some billing information that you have. From here, we can also click on templates. These are a bunch of templates that are already made. So if you're in sales or marketing, there are some ready-made templates here. These are a good way to get started. And this is why it's so important to be a part of a community, because as you go through and build these AI agents and automations, there are some optimization techniques and different things that you can do that are very particular to your use case. So a lot of things in our community have already been built out. And if you have questions, we can support you and help you build out different automations. So it can get really hyper-focused on the particular outcome that you need. So what output are you looking for? How can we help you be more productive? You can find the link in the description and you can join our community from there. If we go back to the overview page, we can click on variables. This is a place where we'll store API keys and also webhook URLs. We can also click on the Insights tab. The Insights tab shows you a bunch of different metrics. So again, this is really important to refer back to, because if you run into maybe a bottleneck or you need to do some debugging or things change and a production breaks, this is a place where you can kind of visualize how it's all performing. All right, so we can go to create a new project here. So we'll create the project. Now I can also create a folder here. Just call it section 1. So now we have a folder in our project. And as we create workflows, right, we can save it. Now when we go back, we can add this workflow into this folder. As we create another workflow, save it, we can add this into section 1. We can also add another folder. Again, as you build these out, you can see how it can get really complicated really fast. In particular, if something breaks or you're trying to optimize a specific part of an agent or automation, it's really helpful to have good naming so you can find it pretty quick. So for example, we come in, there's nothing in this one. We go in here. All right, we know we need to change the agent in section B. So in the workflow here, we basically have a blank canvas. In this, we can add many different kinds of nodes. So what are nodes? Nodes are the rectangles that you'll see on the canvas. So if we click Add First Step, we have a bunch of different options here. We can have something that triggers the automation or agent manually. We can have something when a chat is received to trigger it. We can have a node that we set up where if we get a submission from a form or a change from a form, it will automatically run the automation and agent. So we have many different options, but with you, I want to go over the 5 and 6 types of node types that are important to keep in mind. So as you start thinking about building out automations and agents, it gets really tricky in terms of how to think about structuring them, and having the knowledge of what type of nodes there are will really help you think through what's needed to actually get set up. So here are the 6 types of nodes. Starting with number 1, we have trigger nodes. So when you're thinking about creating an agent or an automation, there is the first event, and these could be webhooks. A very common one to kind of wrap your head around is an email trigger. So you receive some type of email, and that triggers the automation that will trigger the agent into action. So it's just basically what is actually starting the whole process. Number 2, we have action nodes, exactly what it says. The node is taking an action. So for example, we can have Slack sending a message, we can have Gmail sending someone an email. So we're really thinking about doing something. The third type of node we have are logic nodes. So these are if-then statements. So for example, you can think of if you received maybe an order, you would want the order to be over $100. If it's over $100, then something else happens. So it provides some logic to the setup. Number 4, function and data transformation. This allows you to manipulate and generate data. So if you think of split in batches, say you want to send user emails and you want to send 500 of them out, you wouldn't send them all out at once. It would allow you to split sending these emails out in batches of say 50 so you don't hit API rate limits. Number 5, we have AI and machine learning nodes. This is a node that is basically ChatGPT. So when we were thinking about the earlier example of, for example, writing a script of trending topics on social media, the LLM would do the heavy lift here. So this just basically allows you to connect different types of LLMs into your nodes. Number 6, third-party integrations. There are hundreds, if not thousands of now pre-built tools by certain third-party apps. You have all the big players, Google, Notion, Stripe, Twilio, and it really helps you kind of build out your automations and agents a whole lot smoother because they're already ready to plug and play. Okay, back to the overview page here. As you can see at the overview at a high level, you can see some of the workflows that we've created. They show up in this place as well. You can also check them in the projects. So for example, we'll go in and we'll create a lead workflow together. So for example, leads are coming in, I want to get an email and I want it to tell me what the budget of that lead is. So we'll generate that in section B here. All right, so now we're in the workflow for section B. We'll retitle this to our new lead form. Okay, so now when we want to add our first node, this is something that will trigger the whole entire automation. So we want to do a form submission. When a new lead comes in, we'll be able to track its information here. So we'll walk through this. The form URL is not important right now. We can call this new leads. The description, we can say new leads for a marketing firm. Say I have a marketing firm. These are the new leads for them. Form elements are different things that we can capture in the form from people. So for example, we do, what is your name? And it will be a text form. It'll be a text element, sorry, and you'll just be able to fill in a name. So we can just have a placeholder. This will show the person on the other side an example. So I can just put in my name. We can make this a required field. We'll add another form element where we will do, what is your budget? And again, here we have different options. We can give people basically a multiple choice list. So we can do under 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, and maybe finally 5,000 plus. We'll make this a required field, and we can add maybe a final form element to describe the project, for example. Describe or project type. And it can be a text area. So we'll say describe the project. So we can require this. We'll also require their name. And now that we have set this up, we can go to click execute step. This will show you what it looks like when people are on the other side. So we can go ahead and fill this information. Okay, I see this, and now I'm putting in my budget. I'm going to spend 5,000 plus. What is the project? I sell dog sweaters and want to run a holiday sale for them. Okay. Now we submitted the form. That's what it looks like from the other side. So when we come into our workflow, this is what it will look like. If you look here to the right-hand side, we have the output. It captured my name, it captured my budget, it captured the text area of me describing the project type, and it gives you the exact date of when it was submitted. Another thing we can see is, in addition to the table format, we can see the schema. So you can see the name, you can see the budget, you can see the project type. Where this is super powerful is, say we had more variables, say we had a zip code variable. We can reroute these requests by basically their geography. So if they are in a certain zip code, they would go in a different direction and interact with different nodes. Or we can have a drop-down list where people will say maybe what type of industry they're in. And based on what type of industry they're in, we can reroute that request to another node. For example, say we're selling something, we can send the industry-specific request to different salespeople, for example. So we want to get out of this really quick, and we can actually rename this node if we just click on it and click spacebar. We do new leads. And you can move this around. You can zoom in, zoom out. It's pretty great here. And one of the things, and also again, you can see one new item here because we did get one form submission. So looking at the canvas here, we can add a new node to our lead form. So we can just click the plus sign here, and we want to qualify these leads based on their budget. So we can add a switch node. So here we are. And again, if you just look at this from the high level, you have an input, you have our current node, and you'll have an output. So if we go back to the form, we do not have an input, right? Because this is the trigger of the whole automation. So we just have our node and we have an output. So now when you come to the switch, you have the input, which is coming from the forms. You'll have the switch node and you'll have an output. So we want to qualify these folks by the budget that they have. So we'll come in here and we'll rename this and we'll call it, what do we have? We had 3 options for budgets. So, oh man. All right. And then we'll add low, medium, and high budget. So if we click out of here, we can see now we have 3 options, low, medium, and high. So now we can reroute these to separate nodes we set up. So if we come back into the switch, we can actually drag some of the schema into our rules here. So for example, in here, we can do what is our budget. So for the value, we either have fixed or expression. So fixed is a very consistent number that we will send every time. Expression is more dynamic, where we're actually taking information from the previous input. So we want to take the information and the value from the inputs that we're getting. So we want to keep this as an expression because we want to know if it's the low, medium, or high budget. So we can drag the budget into here as well, and we can drag the budget into here for the third option. And now we just want to put in the values. So we'll go back. We will take the first value, drop it into the low budget. We will take the second value. Where are we? We will drop it in to the medium budget. And we will take the final option, which is the high budget, and drop this in as well. So we've completed this, and now we can move on. So back on the canvas here, we can execute our workflow to test it out. So here we are. We'll get a submission going. What is my budget? We'll say medium. I make cat loafers and submit. Now, if we go back to our Canva, we can see that it was successful. We see a medium budget, there is one item. So if we come in here and click, we can see the input again, input, function, output. Remember from the lectures? So we click on the switch node, we have the input, you can see it here. You can see it in a table format, laid out like this, or you can see it in the schema format. Now, it already generated an output for us, so now we can see it already got bucketed into the medium budget option. There's nothing in low budget, nothing in high budget. We have something in the medium budget. So when we come back out to the canvas, this is powerful because we can connect these nodes to different items. So now, say something came in that was low budget, maybe we'd want to send an email follow-up, or if something's a medium budget, we'd have a different type of follow-up. If something's a high budget, maybe we want to set up a call. So we can go through this right now and we'll set something up for the medium budget. So for medium budget, we can add, say, an email. So every time I get a medium budget request, I can send an email to my Gmail. So we'll click plus to add a node. We'll go to Gmail, click Gmail, click send a message, and we have to get credentialed. So this is just basically connecting N8N to the app. So we haven't set up Gmail yet. We can go ahead and do that. Create a new credential. We want to sign in with Google. Click that. And now at this page, you can just fill in your Gmail and sign in. So we set up our Gmail account. We can change the name here to hello test, and we can go ahead and save that. Now, what do we want to do? We want to send ourselves a message when we get a medium budget lead that comes in. So we're going to we'll send it to ourselves here at my email. And for the subject, we can put new lead, and we can add a emoji here. And you can also add, you can keep this fixed or you can add some details here. So for example, if we click on the schema here, we can add the name of the person who's coming in. So we can just drop this in, and now every time we get a email, the subject will be new lead, and then it'll be the name that someone filled into the form. So we can do HTML or text, we'll do text, and we can open this up to see the message that we're sending ourselves. And we can sit here and say, hello Fit, you have a new lead, right? And some of the things that we can add here, if we move it to, that would be fixed. If we move it to expression, we can really customize this. So we just want to click this little anchor here, open this up, and now we can get really detailed with it. We can say, this is the person's name who came in as the lead. And then we can also add their budget. We can add the project type. So every time I get these emails, I'll be able to immediately look into the email and it'll have all of this custom information for me. Another thing I may be interested in is the time. So I don't want to let these leads go cold, so I can say when it was submitted and get a timestamp for it. So now if we get out, we have really set this up using expression, and it gives you way more customization. So when you get these emails, you can really add a level of detail that allows you to take the inputs that you're receiving and really get a good output. One of the things we want to adjust here, if we go to add option, we want to append N8N attribution. This just removes some of their watermarks. And now if we click out, we have this set up. So we can execute the workflow. Say, here we are. what is our budget? Here, I make turtle necklaces. Whoops. For turtles, not out of turtles. All right, so I make turtle necklaces for turtles. My budget is the medium range, and there's my name. So this should trigger the automation to send an email to myself. So if we go, we can see submission, it went, there's one item, and now there's one item. Now the interesting part, let's go ahead and check the email. So we'll go to the email from here, and here is the email. So as you can see, we have the subject there, the new lead, and it was an expression. So we dynamically took what was in the form to add the first name to the subject of the email, as you can see here. And in the body of the email, we were able to add data specifically from the inputs of the form. So I have the name, I have the budget, I have the project type, and I also have the timestamp of the form submission. So we literally took a form that we captured leads on. We were able to create a routing mechanism to send them in different directions, whether they were low, medium, or high. And we were able to find an end destination to send ourselves an email when they're medium budget. Congratulations, that's your first automation. Now we'll create a setup using OpenAI. So we'll walk through a simple setup here. We are on the Canva and we'll add a manual trigger. Again, this is our node. We'll add another node to it. Here are the node categories. We'll click AI, we'll click OpenAI, and the option we have here, we want to message the model. So again, to set up credentialing, you'll get some OpenAI credits for free in this, but if we want to set up a new credential here, we'll have to go to the OpenAI website, and this is different than your ChatGPT subscription that you have. So you'd want to come to the OpenAI website, you go in the top corner, you hit API platform. This is where you want to sign up to the API platform. So we're back on the node page here. After you set up your OpenAI API, again, that's different than your ChatGPT. You can purchase some credits there. You'll get an API key that you'll copy and paste up here. And now we can go through with the rest of the node. You have the option here to send it a text, image, audio, any kind of file here to really customize what you're looking to do. So for us, we want to pick the model here. We can go with maybe the mini model. And the prompt, so we're sending OpenAI a prompt, a message, and OpenAI will send us one back. So we can ask it, I am hosting a movie trivia night. Give me popular movie trivia questions. And we want to say maybe not to use credits here. We want to be clean on these prompts. A popular movie trivia question and answer. So now we can execute this step. And here we are. So again, the input, the node, the output, and we got the information over here. If you remember from the previous example with leads, schema is great because you can drag and drop schema. The table format is just another way of viewing the output. And then you also have JSON, which is a little bit more technical. I personally like the schema option here so we can see the content, and it gave us a response. In the movie The Matrix, does Neo take the red pill or the blue pill? Interesting. And it gives you an answer. So we can go back out to the nodes and we can add we'll do an edit field. And we really like schema, right? So we have the table, the JSON, and we can just drag and drop the schema. So we just really want the content. What is the output from OpenAI? So we drop this in and we see that we have the JSON here, what does this mean? So if we look at it, it's json.message.content. All that means is it's going to the message, and then it's also pulling the content. So this is what it looks like in a little bit more of a technical term, and then here is your end result. So you'll actually get basically the content that is coming out of ChatGPT for this instance. So if we go back, we can get out. We have this set up. So let's execute the workflow. So if we open this up, we can see ChatGPT came back with another movie question. And this, it says, in the movie The Wizard of Oz, what song does Dorothy click her heels to repeat in order to return home? And the answer is Over the Rainbow. Again, just a reminder, you have three forms of showing this input, right? Schema, table, JSON. We dragged and dropped the schema, the content, manually into the OpenAI model. We can see here, again, what JSON means. It's just dot message and then pulling the content. And then this is how the result looks kind of in the user interface. So we can come back out to view all of the nodes here. So say we want to do something other than having to manually trigger talking to ChatGPT. We can really just show an example of the power of setting up these kind of automations. And we'll say maybe if we get a chat, then it'll automatically talk to ChatGPT. So here what we can do is we can delete the execute workflow when it's triggered. We can add a new node and say when we receive a message. And we can test the chat. We'll bring it up here and we'll just add the plus to our OpenAI model. And now we can just say, hi. There we go. So now we have the response is, because we didn't change anything with our OpenAI model, we get another movie trivia question and answer. Obviously it doesn't make sense. So we can go into here and we can say, let's change the prompt. We can have the model behave more like it does when you message ChatGPT than just spitting out movie trivia questions. So again, we really like schema. We can just do chat input. We can drag it and drop it into the prompt. And again, if we open this up, what does this mean, right? It's just basically taking JSON, chat input, and here's the result. I message hi, you're getting the result of hi. So now if we get back out and we save the model, we can come in here. Hello, my name is Fit. I am going to visit Sao Paulo. Please give me 2 landmarks to visit. And here we go. So now the model is just talking to me as if you'd use ChatGPT. So you can begin to think of chat requests coming in. I hope if you're thinking about businesses or consulting or your own job, you can really set these up so that you really are automating a lot of chats, regardless if you have maybe service requests or questions on websites, etc. You can set these up pretty easily and it really saves you a bunch of time. And you can get a little more complicated in terms of setups because now we can actually route these based on what the people are talking about in the chats. Does it have to be directed to a different salesperson? Does it have to be directed to a different service provider? Is it an emergency that, maybe someone's electricity went out and we need to send someone there? So you really have so many different options, but I hope this just gives you a feel for the power at your fingertips. And we set it up in, a few minutes here. So we'll move on and we'll try some more of them. Now we'll do a quick overview on JSON. It's very important just to have a baseline understanding as we move forward with some of these templates and layouts. So when we get data in N8N, we have it in 3 forms. So you have the schema here, the table, and JSON. Schema, very easy to see visually. You can drag and drop these. Table, if you're used to Excel or Google Sheets, this looks familiar, but you can also drag and drop items from these as well. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's basically key value pairs. What does that mean? You have a key, you have a value, and they are in pairs. So you have role, for example, is the key, surrounded by quotations, and then you have a colon and assistant, surrounded by quotations. That is the key, role. The assistant is the value, and together they're a key value pair. So that's all JSON is. JavaScript Object Notation, and it's driven by key value pairs. Now we want to look at the 5 main data types in N8N. So if we come here, we have the 5 types. A string, which is just basically words surrounded by quotations. We have numbers, just that, numbers, but they are not surrounded by quotations, as we'll see. We have a Boolean. It's basically true or false. An array is just, you can think of it as just a list. And then we have an object. In an object, you can have strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, and other objects. You can think of an object as a block that has other items inside of it. So we can go to string first, and we'll see how this is represented. So we can say food, and then for the value, we want pizza. We execute this. Again, we have our 3 forms. You see it in schema, you see it in table format. And now for JSON, you have key value pairs. The key, colon, the value, key value pair together. So we have food and then pizza surrounded by quotes. So now if we come here, we can see what a number looks like. So we can say age, and we can say 100. We can execute this step, and now we have, again, the 3 forms in JSON, key value pair, age, and 100. It's important to note that numbers do not have quotations around them, and it's just mindful when you're working through templates moving forward. If you want to end up filtering numbers, you want to make sure that you're putting them in the correct format, because we wouldn't be able to filter, say, by age or product size or order value unless we make sure that it is formatted correctly. And now if we move on, we can do a Boolean, basically true or false. Rain, false. Key object, or sorry, key value pairs, key, colon, and then we move on and we have an array. We can do array again as a list. So we can do colors, and this is where you want to put a list together in JSON. It's very simple. You do the bracket, and now we just do the color. It's a string. Then we do another color, quotations, and then we do another color, and then we do a bracket. So we'll execute the step, and there we go. This is how it shows up in the schema form. We have colors, we have blue, green, and purple, table form, and then in JSON, it just shows you how it's represented. For the final data type, we have object. And for object, this is just basically, again, you can have an object and you can have all the different types of information there. You can have strings, numbers, booleans, and arrays, and other objects in the object. So one thing you can actually do is you can use ChatGPT to create the object for you. So JSON is just a different way of formatting data. If I speak a sentence, write a sentence, I can ask ChatGPT to put that sentence in JSON format, and then we can put that into N8N. So we'll go through an example here right now. So we're on ChatGPT, and we can put a sentence in JSON object format. So put this into JSON for me. And we can say, my name is Fit. I like pizza, peanut M&Ms, and tea. My favorite color is blue, and I am working on my golf game. So here we are. It converted this into JSON format for us. And now we can take this object and put it into N8N, which I'll show you right now. We just click copy here. And now if we go back to N8N, we can paste it in. And now we can go to, again, out of all the data types, we click object. We switch it to JSON. We delete this. I literally just copied the JSON that ChatGPT gave me. And now I paste it in. So it's translating a sentence into a JSON file format. So we run this, and here we are. So we have the JSON output. We also have it in table format, and we also have it in schema format. Why is this important? It's because the templates in N8N are built with JSON. Having a basic understanding will help you as you build templates out. So as you're building things out, you may get some errors when, for example, it'll say XYZ expected an array, but received this, or XYZ expected an object, and that wasn't received. So it'll help you go through the JSON and really be able to pinpoint if there's a particular error or simple things you can fix. We'll cover the two fundamental ways that AI interacts with the real world. So we have RAG versus AP calls. RAG lets your AI answer questions using your own documents. So it will give the relevant information to the LLM based on documents you already have. You can think of maybe specific policy documents in your business, or FAQs, or terms and conditions, things of that nature. They're internal, we store them, and we can have relevant information be accessed by the LLM. So just think it's internal. API call is where you're fetching live data, and is triggered by an action by connecting to an external service. So if you think of pulling in the weather information or live stock prices or connecting to calendars, you're going externally to pull information from another source. RAG is retrieval augmented generation. And you can think of this as, when you think of RAG, think internal. So we'll have a database with information, and say we want to look up something about the terms and conditions. RAG is just asking a question, looking into that database, and giving us the answer. So an analogy for you would be, you ask me a question, the answer is in the library, which is the database. The books are stored in a certain way in the library. The data is stored a certain way in the database. And I go in there, I find the book, I get the answer, I delivered the answer to you. So at the end of the day, you asked me a question, I went back into the information source, I retrieved the answer and gave it to you. That's all RAG is. For RAG, one of the main phases is data indexing. So basically we go from documents to chunks, embeddings, and into a database. What that means, say we have a document, it could be a policy document, FAQ, a terms and conditions. Say the document is the history of golf, and the PDF is 1,000 pages long. That document gets broken up into smaller chunks. From there, those chunks undergo an embedding model. What does that mean? It's simply turning text into numbers. After we turn the text into numbers, it's stored in a vector database. This is a vector database, and as you can see, it's a multi-dimensional plot, and each vector is placed based on the meaning of the words, and those that are similar are placed next to each other. So we can see we have a group of animals over there, we have a group of fruits over there. So anytime we query or try and look up some information, the vector database will organize the information based on how related they are to each other. The point to remember in this for RAG is that you're using a vector database to store information, and you want to think of it as internal. You're not going externally. You're literally just taking the information that you already have, you're putting it into a vector database, and you can retrieve this information using LLM. So you can ask an LLM questions, it can go into the database, and it can find you an answer. Again, back to the analogy of, you have a question, you're going to the library, you're looking through the system, how it's organized, finding the correct book, and getting the answer. That's what RAG allows us to do, and that's what makes it very easy for LLMs to get the answer, and that's how we can create agents and automations using RAG. An API is basically a waiter, is an easy way to think about it. It allows you to connect information from one source to another source. So for example, if you go to a restaurant and you want the Caesar salad, you don't go tell the chef that you want the Caesar salad. you will have the waiter take your order, which is your information, deliver it to the chef. The chef will take that information, create the Caesar salad, give the Caesar salad to the waiter, and the waiter will bring you back the Caesar salad. So at a high level, it's a waiter. An API is a waiter. So when you think of using N8N, when you want to go externally for information, you're going to use a waiter. So that's an API. We'll connect N8N to, for example, your Gmail or your Google Drive, or as we did the example, OpenAI. It is simply just taking information from N8N, going to Google Drive, your Gmail, or OpenAI, getting the information, and then sending it back to you. The great thing about N8N, it has a lot of API integrations already. So in the OpenAI example and the Gmail example, you saw we were able to just simply connect them using our credentials. So we can access a lot of different apps, a lot of different tools on the internet using the already integrated APIs. The issue may arise if it's not integrated with N8N. So we have a workaround for that too, and we'll go through that right now. In addition to APIs, we have HTTP requests. So you can think of this as just another way to communicate digitally. It's basically going from you to an endpoint or a server. You can send and retrieve information. So for example, a GET we would use for retrieving information, and a POST we would use for sending information. So for example, what is a GET? If we wanted to know what is the top story on a certain website, that is a GET. From us, we're getting information from the server. The GET typically uses URL parameters to transfer information, and for a POST, we are sending data, right? So for example, we want to write and post a blog post. That is sending data from us to the endpoint, the server. And that's typically sent in JSON. So you can think of, just at a high level, HTTP as just a mailing system. For an HTTP request, you basically have 5 steps. So for step 1, you have to identify the method. Is it a GET or a POST? You also have to identify the endpoint. So where is the website? And then we have 3 kind of filtering selections here. We have the query, the header, and the body. So for query, you can think of, like, if you Google something right now, I just Googled Lionel Messi. You see how it says search Q? That's basically the query, just to show you kind of what it looks like. For header, you can think of a header parameter as authorizing yourself. So you send your unique key and you get access to the server. So it's kind of like how we did it with OpenAI, right? We had to put the key into N8N to authorize the connection. And finally, we have the body parameter. This is, we're sending something over to get something back. So say we want to know more about a client named Mike in our CRM, we would be able to input that and then get back information about Mike. We are now going to create a RAG chatbot. So the first thing we want to do is add a trigger. So we'll go in here into Google Drive. From here, we'll click on changes involving a specific folder. The first thing we want to do is get credentialed. So we will add our credentialing here. You want to click up here on Open Docs. For the prereqs, you want to click Create a Google Cloud account. And from here, you can sign up for Google Cloud. We are in Google Cloud now, so we can create a new project. So you'll see something up here. It'll be called New Project or Start a Project. So you'll come in here. We'll start a new project. We will call it a demo, and we'll create it. So you can see it's starting to create. We'll wait for it to finish. So the project is done. We can click Select Project, and now we want to add the Google Drive API. So we'll click API and Services, Enabled APIs and Services. We will search for Google Drive. We'll click on Google Drive, and we'll click Enable. We've connected the Google Drive API to N8N. As you can see, the status enabled. Again, remember from the API lecture, it's just Google Drive can now communicate with N8N. So we want to set up our OAuth consent. So we'll come up here on the left, OAuth consent. We will click Get Started. We will call this a demo. We'll put the email in. Next, we'll just do external. We'll use the same email address. Next, I agree. Next, create. And here we are. So we've set up our auth consent. Next, we will add a test user. So we'll go to audience over here. We want to add a test user. I'll just put my email in right here. As you can see, we added a test user right here. So now we just want to create a client. We'll click on clients, click create a client. We're going to do a web application. We'll call it a demo. And now we want to add our redirect URI. So if we come back here, we can pull this and add it in here. And now when we click create, it'll give us a client ID and a secret. So we can copy both of those and transfer them to N8N. All right, so we copied the client ID and client secret in here. So now we can just sign in with Google. Make sure you use the same user account that you did for the test account. Allow. And there we go. So Google Drive is now connected and we can access some of the folders and files through N8N. So we'll come down here and select Pet Paradise. Say, for example, I run a pet store. We want to watch for file created and we'll do fetch test event. So now we get all this information from the file. So it's a little interesting in table format. You can look at the schema, but if we go into the JSON or move back to the table and we see it's called Pet Paradise Policies. So this is the file we're looking for. So we see the one item here, the Pet Paradise Policies. And again, remember, we're trying to create a situation where every time we create a file in our Google Drive, it gets stored in a database that we can access. So we'll add another node here. We will go to Google Drive and we'll do download a file. Here we can see the information in schema, table, and JSON format, and we can pull a file from the list. We want it to be dynamic. We don't remember, if we select one of these and fixed, it'll always be this file. So what we can do is, I like JSON, if we come and look for the file ID, and here it is, we drop it in, right? JSON.id, we execute the step, and there we go. Now we have our file to download. So we can get out and we can see there is an item here. So the next step will be to add a database. So to add a database, go to pinecone.io and you can sign up here. So once you're set up, we'll go ahead and create the index. Click begin setup. We'll say demo 1. This is the embeddings model. The most cost-effective one is this one right here. We will keep all of the serverless, keep AWS, keep the region, and click create index. The index is created now, so we just want to take an API key from here and connect it to N8N. So we'll come to API keys, we'll create API key, we'll call it demo 1, create the key, you copy it, take it over to N8N, and now we want to add a node here. So we want to add Pinecone, add documents to vector store, and here we are. Create new credential. We will paste in the API key. Pinecone is now connected to N8N, as you can see up here. We checked from our list and we got demo 1, and that is again our Pinecone index that we created. We see the Pinecone namespace. So a namespace is a folder in an index. And if we go back to Pinecone, we can see the namespace here. And we can come back to N8N and we can name it. We'll call it Pet Policies, and we'll add a node for the embedding model. We use OpenAI. Again, here you can connect your API with OpenAI to have it come over to N8N. You can also use the free API credits here. We use the 3 small model, and now we will add a node to this. For the document loader, we can select the default loader. In the data loader, we have the option for type of data. We can see that we have it in a docx format. We can do JSON, but we have it in a binary format, and that just basically takes anything that's not JSON. So it'll take the docx, PDF, etc. And we want to look at text splitting here. We want to have a custom text split. So we'll click out now. And as we can see, we have an option here to add a node. So we'll click in here and we have three options. We will click a recursive option. So we see here the chunk size is at 1,000. We can leave it at the default here. Chunk overlap, we'll leave it at 0. Why we picked recursive versus the other three options: recursive keeps more of the semantic meaning and context of the document, so it's the go-to pick for this situation. We come out and now we can execute the workflow, and here we go. We get the 4 items if we just open this up, and now we can see how the information was chunked. So here are the 4 chunks that were put in the vector database. Here's our workflow here. So again, to summarize, anytime a file is created in Google Drive, we are actually chunking that and embedding that in the vector database that we've created. So now we want to add the AI agent into the flow so that we can chat with the AI agent and pull information from the vector database. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and add the AI agent. And now we want to add our chat trigger. When a message is received, we will talk to our AI agent. We can now add our chat model. So you have a bunch of different models you can choose from. I'm going to go with OpenAI's model because we have our API connected already. So we'll just go with that. And we can also add the tool. So we can go to Pinecone Vector Store, and we're adding our Pinecone Vector database. So if we look in here, we can see that we have our Pinecone connected, and we'll add a description for the agent. And now if we look at the list, this is what we titled it in Pinecone. So it's the demo 1. We want to add our namespace. It was pet policies. So if we click out of this, we need to add an embeddings model. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing that we did with the ChatGPT model. And now we're ready to run and talk to the agent. I'm going to go ahead and open the chat window, and now we can talk to the agent about the document inside our Google Drive that we chunked, embedded into a vector database, and our chat agent is going into that vector database and finding information that we want. So for example, we run Pet Paradise. Does Pet Paradise offer a rewards program? Yes, we do. We offer Paw Points rewards program. You can earn 1 point for every $1 spent. So this just goes to show you how powerful these tools can be. So we're literally taking information that's created in Google Drive. We are chunking it, running it through an embedding model, storing it in a vector database. And now we have an AI agent who can reach into that vector database, retrieve information for us, and we're able to just talk to this agent without ever having to actually go look for the information or find the information. I hope this just gives you a small idea of how much efficiency you can gain in work, whether you're consulting businesses or at your own job, just by implementing some of these tools. They really give you so much time back, and you've officially built an agent. So congratulations, and I'll see you in the next one. We will create a workflow that will mark your promotional emails as read, so you'll never have to go through them ever again. The first thing we want to do is add the trigger, and this we will do on message receive. I have my Gmail account connected, and it's listening every minute. So you want to double check your N8N subscription to see how many executions you have, because those executions will add up fast. So in this example, we're doing promotional emails. You can also set this up for any other type of email that you have to mark as read or to flag for you. And this one will go to mark as read for promotions. But say you had important meeting, or you're taking emails about deals, you can kind of filter those out. So we have it set for every minute here. The next step will be to add the agent. Here we can run the previous note. I sent myself a test email So it shows up here for the example, and you can see, hello, get the promotion for a limited time only. You are eligible for this great opportunity. It is the greatest opportunity you have ever seen in an email. Hurry and take advantage of the promotion, blah, blah, blah. So I sent this to myself, and now we can go ahead and adjust some of the parameters here in the agent so that we can tell it what to do and what to look for. We want to change the source, and we can drag over the email ID, the subject. So again, the agent's looking at the subject, and it's looking at the information in the email. So it should be the snippet. Another thing we can do is add a system message. So this is basically telling the agent how to behave. And what we can do here is just write kind of what we're looking for. So you can see here I've written in some of the information to give the agent direction and to tell it exactly what to do and what I'm looking for it to do. So again, you can change this depending on what you want to do. So right now I'm filtering out promotional emails. If you're searching for something or flagging something, you can easily just change this to suit your use case. Next, we'll add the model. So you can pick whatever model you want. I like to go with the 4.1 mini. It's more cost effective. Just filtering out something as simple as promotions, this can easily do the job. So now we can move on. And now we want to go ahead and add the Gmail mark as read. So we'll go ahead to tool here. We will search up Gmail, and we'll go ahead and do the operation, which is mark as read. And for the message ID here, we want this to be dynamic. So we'll drag in the message ID and we'll execute the step. And there we are. So if we come out here and we run the whole workflow and we go in, and it says, so I have marked it as read. So the email I sent myself about a promotion being a limited time only, etc., the agent went in based on the message that I gave it and went into my inbox and marked it as read. So if I go over and check my Gmail right now, that email is marked as read. This is just a super simple tool. It took a couple of minutes to set up, and it just gives you an incredible amount of time back. You don't have to go and filter through and do this all the time. Everyone's trying to manage their inbox. If you see a promotion, it's just like mental fatigue, thinking about it, clicking on it, deleting it. This is something that can do it for you and give you so much time back. So I hope that this gives you a taste, but also you can implement it in your own life, and you can also adjust it for your own use case. But it just shows you the power of these agents and automations. So I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. This AI agent will send you an email that summarizes all your unread emails every single morning. First thing we want to do is add a trigger node. So we will do a schedule trigger. And for this, you can do days, weeks, hours, whatever suits your use case. I do it once a day at 6 a.m. So it will check my inbox at 6 a.m. and give me a summary when I go in to read them. Next thing to add is a Gmail node. And we want to do get many messages. And in here, you can set a limit. So for this example, I'll set it to 5 because I sent myself 5 test emails, but you can put it at whatever you want depending on your use case. And again, here you can do different things such as mark as read, add some other property filters. And if we just go ahead and execute the previous node, and we'll execute this step as well. So you should get the 5 emails on the output here. And here we are. We have the 5 emails. So what we can do next is add an aggregate node. And for this, you want to set the input field as a snippet. So it will aggregate the snippets. It won't bring over all the information. It'll just bring over the body of the email. So we can go ahead and execute this step. And you see we have 5 snippets here. We want to go ahead and add our AI agent. So we can just come up here, AI agent. We want to set this to define below. So this is where we can add our prompt, telling the agent, giving it a little bit of direction on what to do. So go through the email snippets and identify all the key details mentioned, any specific issues I should look at, any key dates and times I need, and any action items. It's giving it a little bit of direction, and then we just come down here to snippets, and this is where we will just bring over our snippets. So we can just drag and drop. These snippets. Now we can go ahead and add a chat model. I like to use OpenAI, and I use the 4.1 mini. It's cost effective and it has enough power to go through email snippets and give me a summary. But you can go ahead and select different chat models from here. You can also pick Gemini or whatever you're comfortable using. And again, you want to make sure your API is connected here so that you can get access to your account. And finally, we can go ahead and add Gmail. And for this, you can send yourself an email. I do create a draft. You have some options in here. So you have to delete, get many, draft, label, thread, message. You can do whatever you want, really. I do state of the email. And in here, you also have some property filters that you can get through. And for message, the type of message that we want to add in the draft is, so if we execute all these, or sorry, execute the previous node, we can go ahead and pull in the output. And now the draft will contain the AI agent's output. So I'll be able to check that at 6 a.m. So if we execute this step, now if I check my email, I should have a draft that gives me a summary via 4.1 mini of the emails that I selected. I selected 5 in this case, but it should give me an update. So let's check. And here is the draft. So you can see we have some key details, dates, and times bundled up together. We have a supply request for charcoal and wood. There's a golf outing, and there's an issue that I forgot to add an attachment to a lecture email. And it also gives me action items and conclusion. So you can just see that setting this up, you can go through your inbox, wake up in the morning, see something like this. It just saves you so much time because you get stuck in an email, you go down some rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you thought you were going to look through your inbox for 5 minutes and you're stuck on an email for 10. This will save you so much time in the morning. It's a nice shortcut to give you a couple minutes back, and I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. We will create a workflow that will generate invoices and then automatically email those generated invoices to your clients. And this flow will go through an invoice generator. So say you have a service business or any type of business, we can go ahead and add client information in a form, and then we'll go through the flow so that at the end, they get an email with the invoice. So the workflow is, if we have client information in a Google Sheet, we can create a submission where we take the information from the Google Sheet, submit it into the submission form, and then that'll auto-generate an email for us that includes an invoice to the client. So the first thing we want to do is set up the trigger, which will be a submission form. So this is information that we will take from our sheet. So for example, if we have the client information, how much was billed, how many hours we worked. So in this hypothetical, there is a landscaping company, and we do landscaping and waste because we remove trees. And so the form elements here, these are the ones that we want to pull from our Google Sheet. So what I capture is the following information. So the name, the email, the address, today's date. Note here you can do dates because I have them in date form in my sheet. We can have the due date of the invoice Then I also have the description of the services. I have the amount of hours worked on that service, and then I also have the rate. In addition to landscaping, there is waste removal. So this would be a description of services for the waste portion of the business. This would be how much labor was used for this part. I also have the hourly rate, and then the amount, and then combining the two services. So the landscaping and waste for the grand total. So just a quick double check here. We are, see, it's always good to double check your work. We have to add this. So this is a grand total of hours worked for the labor portion of the business, so the landscaping. So we have the labor description, labor hours, the labor rate, and the labor amount. And then we also have the grand total. So if we execute this step, we will fill in the form. Again, this is coming from the Google Sheet that you have on your clients. So you just make sure you're copying the exact information that you have on the sheet. That's important to note. So we'll go ahead and fill this information in. Let's do on Monday. Landscaping, we did 25 hours, $20 an hour. Is that 500? We had to remove a tree. That was 10 hours, it's $20 rate, it was 200, and the grand total is 700. This is being pulled from the Google Sheet. We have that submitted, and now we can see here that we have an output. So schema table JSON, we can come out, we can add another node, we can do Google Sheets, update row and sheet, and my Google Sheets account is connected. We see we have our input to the Google Sheets now. We have the connection here, landscaping invoice, pulling from the sheet. It's fetching the columns. And here we are. We'll match to email because that is unique. And now we just want to go ahead and drop in all the information. So you can pull from JSON, table, schema, whatever you're comfortable with. Now that we pulled in all the information, we can go ahead and execute the step. And we have the information here. I like to add the wait node just to give, before continuing on, just to give it a second to draw the information from the sheet. So we can add a second. And now we can also add another sheet to get rows. Now in here, we have the Google account connected. We will pull from the invoice. We will pull the sheet. We can add a filter here, and we will do the email. So we can execute the previous nodes. We can drop in the email. And now we can move on. We can go ahead and add Google Drive. So go to Google Drive, copy a file. I have an invoice template connected to my Google Drive right here. And we can call this invoice, wow, can't type. So if we execute the previous nodes, we can dynamically put the name of the client. So invoice for John. One thing to note here is you see in quotation marks, it's a string. here, these are coming over as numbers, right? Because they don't have the quotation marks. So now that we completed that, we can go ahead and add a set node. And for this, if we look back, we have strings and we have numbers. We want to convert these to strings. So we can go ahead and pass through all the information. Again, you can just drag and drop from schema, table, JSON, whatever you're comfortable with. Today's date, due date, labor description, labor hours, labor rate, amount, waste description. Oops. Okay, now that we dragged everything over, we can execute the step. And now we can see, so they are no longer green and they have the quotation marks around them. So we've converted these from numbers to strings here, as you can see. So now we can come back out and go ahead and add a Google Docs node. So we can do update document. And for the URL ID, we can go back to copy file and we have the ID here. We just drag and drop this in. And for action, we want to find and replace text. We're doing this because of the way I have my invoice set up. So it'll go through the Google Docs, it'll find some of the information on the invoice, and we can swap it out. So I'll show you my invoice right now. This is my Leave It to Us LLC invoice, and you can see I hard-coded some of the information here. So what this basically does is allow us to pull over inputs in N8N and dynamically update this invoice as we send it out, which I'll show you how to do in N8N right now. So here in N8N, we can make sure we're on edit fields here. And we just want to click find and replace for the text. So we'll take name. This will dynamically pull in the name. So what we would fill in old text here is if we just go to the invoice, we would just take the name and it will find and replace this in the document. And then we can go ahead and add another action. And again, we'll do find and replace. And now we can scroll back over. We can take the address, scroll back. We can pull in the address, and we'll do that for all of the information here. We have completed the find and replace for all of the documentation, and now we can add a drive node, and it will be download a file. We can just do from the list here, we can just take the ID. And now we want to send a message. So if we do Gmail, we can do send a message, add the credentialing here. So I'll add that. I'll just do for demo purposes, I'll do a draft to my own email. So we can do draft create invoice for Leave It to Us is the subject. Here's the text. And now we can add a message. So it will be hello. And then again, we can dynamically add names. So if we come back to edit fields, we can do the name of the client, and if we just drop this down, we can now see more text. Thank you for choosing Leave It to Us LLC. It was a pleasure doing your landscaping. Attached is the invoice for our services. Please let us know if you have any questions. Regards, fit. Okay, and now if we want to add an attachment, we just come back to our downloaded file. It's just called data. So we can just come in here, we can do the expression, or we can just do fixed and just call it data. So we can execute the step, and I'll check my email right now. Here in the draft inbox in my Gmail, you can see we have the invoice that we just created, dynamically pulled in John's name, and it also attached the invoice that we created for John. So we can just QC this and send it off to John. We took a form submission based on some of the work that we were doing, and we were able to put it in a copy of an invoice template and dynamically fill in the invoice template, generate an email, and add that attachment to the email in a draft. So can you imagine the time that you save just QCing the emails, or if they're automatically sent off, you can just get so much time back. So congratulations on the automation, and I'll see you in the next one. Stop wasting your time searching through documents. We will build a super-based RAG chatbot that immediately pulls all of the relevant information that you're looking for. Imagine being able to upload all of your documents, company, financial, etc., into a database, and then being able to use this chatbot to chat and get the answers that you want. Well, that's what we'll build, and we'll do it in about 10 minutes. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. In this build, we will set up Supabase and set up a RAG chatbot to be able to talk with it. So we will take a file from Google Drive, chunk it, embed it, and store it in a vector database, and also set up a chat function that allows us to go inside the vector database and have a conversation with the information that's in there. So in this example, we'll put in text, a play, but you can go ahead and put whatever you want in it. And it could be PDFs, it could be other files, and you can just chat with all that information using a chatbot, and you'll get the information immediately. So instead of having to think about or find things or search for documentation or search for information, you can literally talk to this chat function and get everything from your database immediately. So this saves you so much time. If you're a business, just for your personal life, however you want to set it up, but it's very powerful. You'll get it done in less than 10 minutes. And there's nothing like just chatting with the chatbot and going through maybe thousands of documents instantaneously and getting the information that you want. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. The first step we want to take is to add a trigger. We will do trigger manually. And we can go ahead and add Google Drive. Download file. And again, if you haven't set up your Google Drive account, there's another video on the channel that is literally 2 minutes long, and it'll show you how to set this up in detail. So resources file, operation is download. From the list, we can drop down the list and select the document that we want to pick here. From the list, I've added the complete works of William Shakespeare, so that's what we will add to the database. And we can go ahead and click execute step. And I have it in a text file because it's a little cleaner for the database and LLMs to read. So we have it here. Next, we'll go ahead and add a Supabase vector store, and it will be add documents to vector store. Here we want to go ahead and get credentialed. So if we come in here, create new credential, we will go to the open docs here and we will create a Supabase account. After you create an account, you'll be brought here to create a new project. So we have a project name here, an organization. I added a password to the database, and we'll go ahead and create a new project. We are in our project now, so if we scroll down a bit, we have the project URL. So we just want to copy this, go back to N8N. We paste in our URL right in here. And then we go back to Supabase. And right here on the left side, project settings, we go to API keys, and you want to reveal and copy the service role key. So we'll go ahead and reveal and copy this and then paste it back over in N8N. Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. So we just copied in our URL and our service key here. Click Save. And there we are. In the Supabase node, you can see that we want to select from a table. We don't have a table built out yet. If we come back to Supabase, right here on the left side, we have table editor, and it's not just as simple as creating a table. So there's another step, and I'll walk you through it right now. It'll take a quick second, but this is the only way to get it to work. So we come back to here, the Supabase credentials. And what we do from this page again is click on Supabase Vector Store. And where's this coming from? Again, if we go back to N8N, you can just click this as well, the docs in the Supabase Vector Store, and that'll take you directly to it. Here, we want to scroll down to Quick Start for setting up your vector store, and we want to take this and copy it. This is for OpenAI's embedding model, so we want to make sure that we use OpenAI's embedding model in the workflow. And now after copying this, we can go back to our table here, and what we want to do is click on the SQL editor, and we can just run a new one, copy it in, and then just click run. There we are. And now if we go back to templates, or our table editor, sorry, we have documents here. So if we click on documents, we can see a document was created. We have text content, some metadata. What we can do now is go back to N8N. Back in N8N, we can go back to the vector store node, and from the list, our list should populate now, and now we can go ahead and select documents. We want to add an option here, and we'll just leave the query name as match documents. We will go ahead and add an embedding model, so we can use OpenAI. Again, we can use the small embedding model. This is the model that we want to use because the SQL we brought over is for this model. So next we'll go ahead and add a default data loader. This is just going to split the document into chunks. So we will move this to binary. It'll be able to process different type of files, PDFs. We will leave this as is, and for text splitting, we'll just make it custom. When we come to the text splitter, we'll select the recursive text splitter. Chunk size, this is how large the chunks are for your document, and for this it really depends on what you're putting into the database. So what you can literally do is just go ahead and ask any language model, whether it's ChatGPT or something else, what is an appropriate chunk size for the information that you have that you're putting in the database. We can go ahead and leave this at 1000. The chunk overlap is just, is there an overlap in your chunks? So I'll usually put a small overlap just so that the files aren't missed. Now let's go ahead and test this. We'll just click on the vector node, execute step. We executed the step here. One of the slight changes I made, instead of the entire works of William Shakespeare, I swapped it out to just Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. So that's the text file that we're adding to our database. So coming in here to the vector node, we can see we have the output here. Ebook of Julius Caesar, and here's the table. We have it chunked. Here's the JSON file. Here in the table editor view on Supabase, you can see that the Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare was chunked in here, and yeah, so you can see some of the chunks. And wow, William Shakespeare, so eloquent. Then how when nature calls thee. We want to set up the ability to chat with the model, so we will go ahead and add a chat trigger. Now we can add a question and answer chain. Here we have the chat connected to the question and answer chain node. We want to go ahead and add a model here, so this is just to give it some logic. I'm going to use OpenAI. I'm using 4.1 mini. And here we can add the retriever. We will do a vector store retriever, and we can keep the limit at 4. For the vector store, we want to use what we just set up. So we're using Supabase. Here we want to leave the operation as retrieve documents. From the list, we want to go ahead and select our documents. We want to add an option here for query, and we'll just leave it as is. And we also want to add the embedding model. So for the embedding model, we will go to OpenAI and just use 3 small. And there we are. We can go ahead and chat with the agent here. So if we just come up here, open chat, what were Julius Caesar's last words in the play? Et tu, Brute? Wow. Cinema. All right, so we just created a chatbot that can now talk to documentation that we have stored in a database. So we're taking something from Google Drive, putting it into a vector database, chunking it, embedding it, putting it into a vector database, creating a chat function, and just asking the chat a bunch of questions about stuff in our database. So we put the play of Julius Caesar in here, where he gets wiped out on the Senate floor by the people closest to him, and we're able to chat and ask questions about the play. Now imagine putting other documentation in here. You can really see the power that you have at your fingertips, because imagine putting the company documents in here. Or for yourself, I like to put books that I've read, or interesting histories, or scientific research papers. And if you're a company, you can go ahead and put your company data in there, your business information. You can set it up to an avatar. So now you can talk to an avatar, and the avatar is absolutely fluent with everything that goes on in your business, terms and conditions, anything you can think of. And it really just puts knowledge at your fingertips. So instead of chasing down documents or information, you literally can just come into the chatbot, who is very well versed on your documentation, and ask, what were Julius Caesar's last words? And you'll get it immediately. So the build is really powerful. It's built in less than 10 minutes, and I hope that you build it out, you put interesting information in there, and it gives you benefits and shortcuts and saves you a bunch of time. So I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. I will show you how to build your very first AI agent in less than 5 minutes. Let's not waste time. The first thing you want to do is go to N8N.io. This is the site you will see. Click Get Started for free. Submit your email credentials. You can use Gmail, other accounts. Log in. Just click Next, Next, Next. It'll ask you a couple questions. Agree to the terms, and I'll see you in the dashboard. The first thing we want to do is click here. This is a node. We will just go ahead and search the nodes here, and it will be a chat trigger. Click this. Now we want to go ahead and click plus to tie this to another node. It's called a node. We will click this right here, AI agent, and just click out. Here we will go ahead and add a chat model, open AI, to search for that. Click on this. In here, you will have to credential your OpenAI account. This is different if you had ChatGPT. It's completely different. You can come into here and just click this edit sign. It'll walk you through the steps that you have to do to connect your account. Once you connect your account, you can select a model from the list here. There are a few models that you can select. You can go ahead and select 4.1 mini. And now we can come over here and add memory to our agent. We can just go ahead and click simple memory right here. Just click out. The tool, now we can add a tool here, and we can connect this agent to many different types of tools. You can think of all of your Gmail products, Drive, Sheets, etc. You can select your WhatsApp, Telegrams. You can connect to different websites that necessarily don't have apps here. What we'll go ahead and do, just for the sake of this demonstration, we'll connect it to Gmail. Here, you'll have to get credentialed with your Gmail account. You will just click in here. It'll walk you through the steps to add your Gmail account. We also have a 2-minute video on how to connect Google Drive to this. It's very similar. You just, instead of search Google Drive, you just search Gmail and you can connect it in 2 minutes. In here, we'll click the stars here. And what does this mean? It will pick who the email is addressed to, what the subject of the email is, and the message of the email will all be defined by the model. So the OpenAI model we connected it to, when we chat with it, that model will make these decisions for us. So what we can do now is go ahead and click Open Chat, and now we can talk to the model. We can say, so my email is connected, please write an email to and tell him that I wrote a message here in the chat function. Now, since it is connected to the OpenAI model, and it's also connected to my email, this agent will go ahead and act on what I'm telling it to do. So I'll just click send here, and there we are. So it confirmed I've sent an email informing them about the birthday party and also to get the cookies that are amazing. Here we have a log. It says what it did. It sent the message, it used the model. And now if I go check my email, I should see I have received an email informing me about a birthday party and to bring the amazing cookies. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. So the model has went ahead and sent me an email. There's a birthday party this Saturday. Please bring the amazing cookies that you know where to buy. Thanks. We didn't have to go to Gmail. We didn't have to open the app, connect to anything. Imagine yourself being able to just chat to an agent, or better yet, speak to an agent, right? You can just go ahead and speak, hey, please send me an email. Hey, add a calendar event. And how long did that take? Less than 5 minutes. So you can really see, you don't have to be technical. You don't have to be some developer to do this. You can really use the tools that are out there with a little bit of help and some step-by-step tutorials and really make your life so much simpler. You can use these tools outside of business, in your personal life, in your business, with friends. But the most important thing to know here, you don't need to know how to code. You don't need to be a developer, and it will save you time. So imagine your life getting back a few hours a week or getting back a couple minutes a day. Over the course of months or years, you really get a significant amount of time back. So these are some of the things that we go over inside the community. We build on these tools and many other ones with the whole purpose of giving you back your time. So I hope you found this build useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. In this build, we will build a super agent that manages 3 other agents. So we have a super agent, El Jefe, the boss, who will be managing your personal finances, your email inbox, and your calendar. Through El Jefe, you'll be able to talk about your personal finances, who to send an email to, when to create a calendar event, all without ever opening these apps. We set it up one time and it runs all the time. Imagine all the time you can get back by chatting instead of searching. Let's get to it. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. We're going to set up the orchestration agent, and this agent will be able to delegate the tasks that we ask it to complete to other agents aligned with it and assigned to it. So we will be able to message stuff about personal finances, emails, calendars in this build, but you can quickly see, just theoretically, this one agent managing 3 agents in a build that we can do in 30 minutes right now, let alone as these get a little bit more capable, you can see one agent managing thousands of agents or even more. So this is a great productivity unlock right here. And as time goes on, it'll just get even more wild. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, so the first thing we want to do, come in here, we will do the agent. And this is going to be our orchestration agent. Great. So we have the agent. We want to define its role below. So this is where we can prompt it and tell it how to behave. And we also want to prompt in here how to connect to the other 3 agents that we build. So I don't want to put in the prompt yet because I just want to get the shell of this agent, and then we'll go through and build the other 3 agents step by step. And then when we've built the other 3 agents, we can tie it back up to this and we can put the prompt in here at the end. So for the chat model, I'm going to use OpenAI. You want to tie your OpenAI account. If you haven't done that, it's not your regular OpenAI account. You have to set that up. You can set it up through here. I'm going to use 4.1 mini. So we have our chat. Now for memory, you have a bunch of options here. You can use these options. For this example, I'm going to use simple memory. It's just email, my financial statements, and calendars. And for here, what we want to do on the tool, now the tool is where we will add other agents, and we will go through the build of the 3 other agents one by one. So the first one we'll do is a personal finance agent. Second one we'll do is a email agent. And the third one we'll do is a calendar agent. So we'll tie those 3 together, tie it up to this agent, which we can call El Jefe, the boss. And after we build 3 agents, like I said, again, we'll put the prompt into El Jefe so it has some guidance on how to behave and when to route things in a certain direction. So the first agent we'll do is a personal finance agent, and we'll start that one right now. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. We'll click the plus. These are nodes here. And we will go ahead and add a trigger manually node. So every time we click this, it will execute the workflow and the thing that we're asking it to do. So here in the edit field node, what we're doing is just putting file name. And for the value, I'm going to put the URL of a Google Drive Excel file that I have that just includes all my financial data. So all my bank statements, I just drop in the Google Drive file and it will just pull that information from the URL. Clicking the plus again, we will add Google Drive. Here we will do download file. I connected my Google Drive account. You can check the channel. There is a 2-minute video to set up your Google Drive account, walks you through how to connect that. So since I'm connected, if I click from the list, it will just show me a bunch of documents in my Google Drive. I have that option to find the document and select it. I can also just paste the URL. So I have my financial data in a file and I'm updating that on Google Drive, and I'll just drop the URL here so that we can connect it to the Pinecone vector store, which we will add next. So I'll put the URL. Next node we want to do is Pinecone vector store. Add documents to vector store because we're adding the financial documents from Google Drive to the vector database. So I connected my Pinecone account here, and I'll just quickly walk you through what it would be like to set this up for the first time. This is the page. You can go ahead and sign up here. You can use Gmail, different email credentials, and once you sign up, it'll take you to a dashboard. We're on the dashboard now, and you can see the database. We have some indexes here. You can go ahead and create an index, and once you click create an index, you can kind of name it. So we could say test index, name it whatever you want. And for this, the 3 small is more than enough for the embedding model. Dimensions 1536, important to move that if we're using OpenAI here. And you can just leave all of this as is. So you just click create an index, and here you go. You see you have your test index now in Pinecone. you want to come over here to the left to API keys. Click on that. It'll present you with your API credentials. You can copy and paste those over into N8N, and that will allow N8N to talk to Pinecone. Back here in N8N, I went ahead and connected my API for Pinecone. So now N8N and Pinecone can speak to each other. And from the list here, if I just drop it down, I will be able to see all of my indexes, and I can go ahead and select the index that I created for my personal finances. So we went ahead and selected test index, and we will use that. And now for the embedding model, we did OpenAI 3 small, and we'll go ahead and keep that as is. Now for the document, we want to use the default data loader. We are not sending JSON. We are sending, you can go ahead and select binary. If you're not sending it in JSON, if you're sending PDFs or images, etc., you just go ahead and select binary. And we can leave all of this as is, or actually we want to move this to custom. For the text splitter, we will use the recursive text splitter. Chunk size, this is splitting off the data into chunks and storing it into the database. So we can leave it at 1,000 for this, and we can just add a little overlap of 100. Just keep the continuity of the data. If you ever have any questions on the information you're storing, or how large your chunk size should be, or your chunk overlap, you can just literally go ahead and ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever LLM, your Gemini, and just ask it, hey, what would you suggest for the chunk size? This is what I'm doing. I'm uploading my personal finances, how many files I have, or if you're uploading books or whatever you're uploading, you can go ahead and ask it, and it'll give you a appropriate size. Continuing on, we will add a question and answer chain. So here we are. We just leave that stock. And why are you over there? The model we want to add to it, you can select any model that you want. We will go ahead and use 4.1 mini for this, more than enough to speak to your personal finances. Retriever, we will add our Pinecone retriever. So we will add the vector store retriever. Vector store, we will add the Pinecone vector store here. And now again, from this list, if we click the drop down, you will see the index, the test index in this case, but that contains my finances. And we went ahead and added that. And for the embedding model, we would just do OpenAI's embedding model. We add the 3 small, great. And the final item we want to add is a chat trigger. So we can just go ahead, connect this. Now, if we execute this workflow, we just come up here, click the play button, and this will just run through the whole process. It'll download the file from Google Drive, and it will store it to the Pinecone vector database here. So click play. This is completed, and we have an item here. I will take this financial agent, move it over to our super agent build. I'll plug in the financial agent into the super agent, and then we can move on, and then we'll do the email agent build, the calendar agent build, and we'll connect those. And at the end, we'll run it as a super agent. Back on the super agent, I'll have hey build right here. We can go ahead and connect another agent. So if you don't see the AI agent tool, you just have to go ahead and update your N8N, which you can do here on the side panel. So we just get these out of the way. And okay, so this is our financial assistant, our personal financial assistant. And what did we do last time? We used OpenAI 4.1 mini. We have simple memory. And then we also added the Pinecone vector store. So for this, we do the Pinecone vector store. And again, from the list, we created the index. So if we come here, the index will be there. We have our test index from Pinecone. And finally, we can just add the Open AI embedding model here, 3 small. So here we are, we have El Jefe, and tied to El Jefe is our financial agent that we just built. So El Jefe already is working with one agent. We can go ahead now and create the Gmail agent, and we'll be able to connect that to El Jefe as well. First node we will go ahead and add is the agent, and we have the chat function connected. Now we see here we want to add a chat model. You can see you have many different options: Anthropic, Gemini. I'm going to go ahead and use, for this example, the 4.1 mini. You also have many options here. Really depends on your use case, but for emails, Anthropic has a really good one for emails as well. You can use that if you so choose. For memory, you saw we had some options. Simple memory is more than enough here. And now the tool. So we're setting up our agent to be able to be our email assistant. So we will search Gmail. I have my Google account connected. There is a 2-minute explainer in a video on the channel that will show you how to do this. It's literally 2 minutes long. You have to go to Google Cloud Console, but if you need help with that, go check that video out. Here we have options for different operations. So we can do delete emails, read emails, send emails, reply to emails. For the agent that we're building out, we want it to be very functional in terms of sending, replying. For myself, send, reply, and more or less create drafts. That's the functionality I typically look for. Here we have the ability to add the emails that we're going to send to, but since we've connected it to the agent and the model, we can just click this over here, and as it says, it will let the model define who to send the email to, the subject as well, and also the message. So by giving these to the agent, that just lets the agent do the heavy lift. They'll figure out the subject, they'll figure out the message, and they'll figure out the email address. So I like to send a message, and also for Gmail, the ability to reply to emails. So here in reply, again, we'll let the model define this. We'll let the model define the message. And now we'll add another tool here. For this, instead of send, this will be get many. So this allows the model to search the inbox, and you can set a limit here, because if you're constantly going through, you can reach limits if you're not on the paid plan. But even if you're on the paid plan, you don't want to be going through the hundreds or thousands of emails. It's not a good use of the model's use case. So I just set a limit to 5 here. And finally, I like to create drafts. So if I have ideas from an email or a conversation, or I know I have to do a follow-up, I'll just save it as a draft in my inbox. So here, instead of message, we'll go to draft, and you have the ability to just create a draft for yourself. Again, I'm outsourcing this to the model. I'm outsourcing the message to the model as well. And here we are. So it looks a little, but this is what we set up. So we have the chat function, chats with the AI agent. We are using ChatGPT's model. You can, again, select different kind of model if you want. We're using simple memory, and I have 4 functionalities here: send an email, reply to an email, go through my inbox, and create a draft. Now, just to show you how this works, I'm not using Whisper or any other functionality. I'm actually going to type it in. But the great shortcut is if you're using, for example, Whisper, and you're just talking to your computer and you just talk instead of having to type, that just speeds up the interaction so much. So for example, if I sit here and say, and I just have this up in a workflow, so if you're working, doing other things, you're just literally in the chat box telling your agent what to do. And again, if you use Whisper, it's an app that lets you talk to your computer and it completes the task. It's voice to text. Email Fit, I put the email address to remind him to bring cookies to the party on Saturday. Hit enter. We can see the agent working. And now, what I should get, I've sent a reminder email to Fit to bring cookies to the party on Saturday. Is there anything else you'd like me to do? Again, if you have Whisper set up, you can literally just talk to your computer. So you're not even typing. It just speeds up everything you're trying to execute so much faster because you're not rate limited by your availability of having your hands free to type a message, whereas you can just chat to your computer while doing other things. All right, so if I check my email, we should see I should have received an email reminding me to bring cookies to the party on Saturday. So we'll check here's my email. So hello Fit, just a friendly reminder to bring cookies to the party this Saturday. Looking forward to seeing you there. What did we just do? We set up an agent in less than 5 minutes. It's the simplest form where you actually have to type to the agent. I wrote it a quick message. It executed this for me. I didn't have to open Gmail. I didn't have to find emails to do anything. I literally just typed into the chat box and it completed it for me. You can set this up from voice command using Whisper on your computer, and you don't even have to have your hands free. It's just a thought and the email gets sent. It really helps you speed up your productivity. Another thing I like to do is just create drafts. So if I know I have to email someone, want to see faster results, my community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. Or I know I have to email them in a couple of days or a week or whatever the case is. Well, the thoughts are fresh in my head. Say we just got off a meeting and a part of the email that I have to send next week has some information that we just talked about. Well, it's top of mind and fresh. I'll usually start the draft, put the relevant information there. So when I see it, when the time comes, it's already baked in better than I would have thought of it a week later. So I can sit here and say, I just got out of a meeting, and I can say, we talked about investing. Imagine you're in a meeting and you took a bunch of notes or whatever the case may be, you're on a call. You can literally just copy and paste those, put them in the chat, tell the chat, hey, put these in a draft email for me. Amazing. So I said, create a draft email with these contents. I click send. The agent's thing, it's completed. If I go and check my draft email, it should be there. Let's go check. And here we are. So I'm in my draft folder and here we go. We have the contents of the notes that I took and I gave it to the agent to create. So it's created this draft for me. So next time I check my emails, it would be there. The ability to create an email, reply to an email, create a draft. There are more options. These are the use cases that I like to use the agent for. But again, that took no time at all. It wasn't that difficult. You can really set it up for your Gmail. Now, if you just think of all the times you spend your email, imagine doing other things and just quickly sending a message to your chatbot and it takes care of this for you. We can go ahead and copy this over to the El Jefe Super Agent. We just copied in the email agent. If we just bring up the email agent to El Jefe, we can delete the agent and actually the chat because we want to work from El Jefe. So we'll go to Tool, we'll go to Agent, and we can add that later just for the build. So we have chat model here, we connect it, the memory, we connect this as well. And now for the tools, we just go ahead and link our email use cases. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. And there we are. So far, we have El Jefe, our personal financial advisor, expense advisor, and our email agent. So the next build, we'll set up a calendar tool, and in the calendar tool, we'll be able to add that to El Jefe as well. First node we will add is the agent, and here it is triggered by the chat. We will add a chat model, and you can add whatever model you want. I'm going to use 4.1 mini. This is the LLM that is running the model. You have memory options, we're going to go with simple memory. We'll leave this as stock. And now for the tool, you can just search calendar and you have Google Calendar here. So what can we do? If we click the drop down here for the operation, you want to go ahead and connect your Google Calendar API. You can find another video on the channel to do that. You can create, delete. Get will pull your calendar events for the model to go through, update an event, and you can have some custom API calls. Imagine you need to create an event. You just talk to your chatbot and say, hey, create an event, I have a meeting, add these 3 people, and send the invite for this date. You never even opened any app associated with these. So it just gives you so much flexibility, so much faster. It's really useful just in terms of getting stuff done quickly. So if we click plus here, we go to calendar. Again, we can do delete an event. So I will defer this to the model. So clicking this, it gives the model the ability to go through and find the calendar events that I'm talking about when I tell it to do something. And the other tool will add the calendar again. And for this, we can do update an event. Again, defer to the model, right? So I'll just, by clicking this button, the model will define it. And there we are. So baseline, you chat with this agent. It uses OpenAI 4.1 mini. It can create an event for you, delete an event for you, or update an event for you. And we'll also add this option, which is to retrieve events. You want to be mindful if you have a really booked calendar, how many events you're retrieving as you engage the model, because those instances add up. So I'm just going to leave it at 5 for the test. And here we are. This model can do what I dread doing, is going into Google Calendar and creating events and dealing with any of that. So we can go ahead and chat with the model. And one thing that we'll do here is say, hello, please. No, we don't even want to use please. That wastes energy in the models, typing unnecessary items. Create an event for hello at. Okay, sorry, we did not drop on here from the calendar. We want it from my calendar. There we are. So create an event for Sunday as a reminder to call Mike. All right, so we click send. This is completed. So now if I go check my calendar, I should have an event there for Sunday, August 3rd. And here we are. There is an event called Mike at 8 p.m. I never had to open up a calendar. I didn't have to do anything. I literally talked to my chatbot and it completed the request for me. Back on the notes here, we can just go ahead and copy this and take it to El Jefe to plug it into El Jefe. Here on El Jefe, we paste it in the agent, but we just want to add the agent tool. So we'll come to El Jefe, tool, agent tool. We'll add the prompts in a second, and we'll just drag this so we can see, again, chat model, OpenAI, simple memory, and these are the use cases. I'm going to create calendar events, delete calendar events, update calendar events, and also the node to get calendar events. So here we are, a simple super agent. El Jefe is managing my finances, my email, and my calendar. So now we can go ahead and add prompts to the agents to give them a little bit of direction in terms of what we're looking for. The final step here is to go ahead and add prompts. So if we go to El Jefe, I added a prompt. You can pause it and read that. Just telling it it is the top AI agent. I also gave it a system prompt here. The final thing to go through are the prompts. So I gave El Jefe a prompt. You are my top AI agent. There is the system message. You can pause these to read them. But again, it's art and science prompting. So whatever works for you. Here is the description for the finance agent. And in here, this is what it would look like. And you could just click here to let El Jefe decide. And the finance agent, I have this, letting the model decide. Here is the system message. So this is the system message. For the email agent, again, letting the model define it. And here is the system message for the email agent. You'll pause it and write it. Again, defined by the model. Here is the system message for the calendar. So what we can do is open the chat and talk to El Jefe. I'm telling El Jefe to send an email that includes the previous month's travel expenses. And I'm also telling El Jefe to create a calendar event for Saturday morning for a golf outing. So for El Jefe to complete this task, El Jefe has to pull finances, speak to an email agent, and also speak to the calendar agent. So we'll see El Jefe in action. El Jefe has confirmed that he's ready to send the email, but he wants to ask if there's a specific location or any other details about the calendar event. Yeah, I was lazy. I just said put a calendar event for 8. I should specify the attendees, but I'm going to say it's okay on the attendees, just send the email. So I said send the email and create the calendar event. We'll see El Jefe in action. The calendar event titled Golf has been successfully created. The email with the travel expenses has been sent to my email. I literally typed this in. I didn't set up Whisper to speak to it yet, but you could literally just speak to El Jefe. Hey, El Jefe. Yes, Fit. Send this email, do this, blah, and here we are. I didn't have to open an app. I didn't have to do anything, and El Jefe took care of it for me. It's 2025, AI, early innings. You can already do an agent managing agents with no code, just hanging out on YouTube watching this video. Imagine in a few years from now, it's going to be something. But I hope you found this build useful. You can see that you can send requests to agents and get so much done way faster. Oh yeah, let's go check the email. El Jefe did send the email. Here we have it, where it details the previous month's travel expenses. There we are. We completed El Jefe. El Jefe is only managing 3 agents. El Jefe is so respectful, he came back and asked, are you sure you don't want to add attendees to the golf outing? Should I send the email with the travel expenses? This is 2025. This is the worst this technology will ever be. It will only get better exponentially. And it's going to be very interesting in the future when people say, what are people going to do? Because to be honest, El Jefe is faster than a human. And humans will just fall further and further behind. So I think a lot of people are not thinking about a post maybe work society for a large majority of folks, but this just gives you a glimpse of what is possible today. And I hope you incorporate some of these tools in your life. It'll get you time back to spend with your family, do your hobbies, whatever you want to do. And you spend less time in your Gmail or making calendar events in Google, which are probably the worst, or reading through your finances line item by line item when you can just talk to them. I hope you found the build useful, and I'll see you in the next one. By the end of this video, you will have created a website chatbot that you can add to your own website. Or if you're starting an AI agent and automation agency to sell your services to other businesses, you will be able to add a website chatbot to businesses that is versed on their FAQ, their terms and conditions, their privacy policies. Imagine being able to call a business and tell them you can have a website chatbot up for them within 30 minutes. That's the power you'll have by the end of this video. Let's start now. Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. This is one of the most sought after and sellable services you can do when building agents and workflows. This will create a chatbot for a website, and the chatbot will function off of documentation that we put in the vector database. So think of FAQs, pricing, terms and conditions, policies, whatever you need for the business to succeed with a chatbot, you can add to the vector database. So if you think of dentist office, doctor's office, nail salon, any type of retail location that needs an appointment scheduled or has questions around pricing, you can use this. If you're thinking of e-commerce websites, being able to have a chatbot there that can guide you through pricing, return policies, free consulting, anything you can really think of, the chatbot is really useful to so many businesses. And that is where you can generate revenue by offering your services or selling this to them or managing it for them, implementing it for them. And you'll see it's not that difficult to set up. And by the end of it, you'll wonder why all websites don't have a chatbot, because it really takes no time at all. It's not really difficult. It's no code, and it just offers such a great experience for the website visitor. First node we have here is a click to execute the workflow. The next node we want to add is an edit fields node. What we'll do here is go ahead and add, it's the file name, and for this example we will do an FAQ, right? So we'll upload an FAQ into the vector database and be able to chat with it. What you can do here is you can go ahead and actually add the Google Drive link. So I'm going to add it to Google Drive, which I've done. You'll just take the link of the file and paste it in here. So I have it. I'll drop it in. Next, we will go ahead and add Google Drive, download a file, and from here you want to have your Google Drive account connected, which we have other videos in the channel that goes through that. We also have videos on the school community that walks you through that step by step. Here we have resource file, operation download, and we'll go ahead from the list, or we can just do the URL. So I have the URL. I'll just go ahead and paste it in here, and there we are. Next, we'll go ahead and add Pinecone Vector Store. So Pinecone is the database, and for this, we will add documents to the vector store. So in this, you want to set up a Pinecone account, which we will walk through really quick on how to set up an index for that. And you can see from here, you'll be able to select an index. So once you create a Pinecone account, connect to your Pinecone API, which again, we have other videos on the channel that walk you through that. You can go ahead and select your index from here, which I do have the FAQ. And I'll show you how to set up Pinecone really quick. This is the Pinecone website. It's pinecone.io, pinecone.io. You want to go ahead and sign up here. It's free to go ahead and get started. So you can go ahead and use your Gmail account or other email provider and set up an account. And then after you set up an account, you will be taken to a console dashboard, which I'll show you what that looks like now and walk you through how to create an index. We're here on the dashboard. So you want to come over here to the left side, indexes. We'll just come here. You can see I created that FAQ, but we'll go ahead and walk through creating an index. You want to click create an index. It's all, you can only use lowercase here. So we'll just call this FAQ2. And for this, you want to go ahead and select an embedding model. We will go ahead and select the 3 small. Here, important dimensions, 1536. You want to go ahead and adjust that. You want to stay serverless, AWS, you can leave all of these stock and then go ahead and click create the index. After you have created the index, so when you come into the Pinecone Vector Store, your Pinecone API, you've set that up, you will be able to see your index here from the list. So you'll be able to click the drop down and select the index that you created. What are we doing here? We are taking the FAQ, chunking it, and embedding it into a vector database. At a high level, what does that mean? We are taking an FAQ, we're turning it into bite-sized chunks, we're taking those chunks and embedding that into a 3-dimensional plot, which is the vector database, and it organizes the information in a way that allows us to access it more efficiently. So this gives you the ability to chat with your documentation or chat with your FAQ, because we're going into the vector database, pulling the information and getting answers. So when it comes to the web chat bot, you'll be able to talk to your FAQ basically in this instance. But again, if you think of other businesses, or if you wanted the terms and conditions or pricing information, you can just as easily add that here so that your chatbot will be responsive to that information on the website. Next, we'll want to go ahead and add the embedding model. So do you remember when we created the index, we went ahead and selected OpenAI's model. So we'll just come here, we'll type in OpenAI, we'll go ahead and use OpenAI. You have different options. 3 small is more than enough for this. And what we can do here is default data loader. We're not doing a JSON file. If we're not doing JSON, default to binary, because I uploaded a PDF. We'll leave this as is. Actually, we want to come in here and add a custom text splitter, and we'll just go ahead and do recursive. Chunk overlap. So basically, chunk size is how the chunks are, how large chunks are. Chunk overlap, you overlap the chunks a little bit more continuous with the data storage, so people like to put a little overlap there. So we can maybe do 100. The next node we want to add is our chat trigger, and here this is how we will set up the chat on the website. So I'll walk you through that, but first we'll go ahead and add the chat trigger. We'll go ahead and add a question and answer chain to the chat trigger. And here we are with the model. And again, we used OpenAI. So we'll go ahead and use the OpenAI chat model. 4.1 mini is fine. You want to go ahead and connect your OpenAI account. This is different than your ChatGPT. We have other videos on the channel and also in the school community that walk you through how to do this step by step. If you're having any issues, we do builds daily in the school community and answer all the questions there. We want to add a retriever. So here we will do a vector store retriever. And now remember we used Pinecone for our vector store. Pinecone, you have your index set up because your API is connected, and we will go ahead and add the FAQ index. And now we just have the embedding model, which we used OpenAI, and 3 small, and there we are. So what are we doing here? We are going to add an FAQ from our Google Drive. We're going to chunk it, embed it, put it in our vector database using Pinecone. And now we have a chat set up that allows us to go into the vector database and retrieve answers. So if you're on the website, you can get the information that you need via the chatbot from the information that is stored in the vector database. Pretty cool. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. The next step is to go ahead and make the chat public and show you how to add the chat to the website. So we'll come to when chat message is received. We will go ahead and toggle this on to make it publicly available. Right now we have the initial message of, "Hi there, my name is Nathan. How can I assist you?" So this is what the folks on the website, the visitors on the website will see when your chatbot pops up. So in this case, we have Nathan. I don't like Nathan. I like Nathan's a great name. What is the name of the chatbot in the movie Her? I just had to Google that, but we got the answer. In the movie Her, the name of the chatbot is that your final answer? Samantha. All right. Hi there, my name is Samantha. How can I assist you today? So this is what the visitor will see. We have the chat URL. So what you can actually do here is you can copy this, go into your browser and see what it looks like. Just paste the URL into the browser, which we will do. So here we have the URL pasted into the browser so we can see the chatbot is here. Hi there, my name is Samantha. How can I assist you today? This is what we'll go ahead and add to the website just to have a little pop-up in the corner, but as you can see, it's working. The important thing to note, to make this live, you actually have to toggle on this so it'll be inactive. You have to make it active for the chatbot to have the ability to be online. So just make sure you have this on active. We want to go ahead and change this from hosted chat to embedded chat, and we'll click here to get the instructions on how to add this to the website. So if we come over here, we scroll down and we find this CDN embedded. All right, so what we have here is the webhook URL. We'll just put our URL into here. So if we come back here, we see our chat URL up here. All we'll do is drop this into this section and then put this into the website that we have. So I'll walk you through an example of mine. So I'll go ahead and copy this, and I have a website set up that we'll go ahead and add this to. Here's a website, and I'm using Unbounce here. It's just a very easy way to build websites. It has very quick load times in terms of maybe a one page, just a landing page website, whether it's on mobile or desktop. It loads really quick and it's very easy to build. So it's not the cheapest option by any means, and I'm not being paid to promote this, although I wish Unbounce did, because there are other options out there. But anyways, so you just want to come into whatever website provider service you're using and just go down to JavaScript, and we'll be able to add the chatbot through that. Here in JavaScript, I went ahead and added the link in the header, and then also for the body tag, I went ahead and added the script. So we have the webhook URL here as well. So this is the one that we brought over from N8N. And now if we go to the website, we should see the chatbot in the bottom right. And I don't know if Samantha will be there or Nathan will be there, because we went from hosted to embedded. I don't know if that impacts the edits that we made. So we can go ahead and go to the website now and see the chatbot. Judgment-free zone on the website design, I think it's cool. 2 robot hands almost touching, AGI, get it, you know? Anyways, we have the chat function in the bottom right. I don't know if it's gonna be Samantha or Nathan, because we did toggle between hosted and embedded a few times, and I don't know if that impacts the edits that we made, but anyways, we have Nathan. So we can go ahead and talk to this chat on the website. Again, this is pulling from the FAQ that we uploaded from Google Drive into our vector database and now set this up. So we can go ahead and ask, what services do you offer? And here we have an answer. This is some of the information pulled from the FAQ. What industries? Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. Asking it another question, what industries do you specialize in? And now we went ahead and asked that, and here we go. We specialize in healthcare clinics, real estate, etc. Actually, pretty wild that every website doesn't have a chatbot. We just set this up, no code, really no code, technically a little bit of code, in no time at all. And now this is fluent on the FAQ. You can add terms and conditions, you can add a policy document, whatever you wish to add that will help the user of the website purchase more, get more information, but it really moves the needle for businesses. This is the easiest thing to set up and probably the most in demand. The amount of messages I get from folks who want to set up a chatbot on their e-com website, it's the most in demand request, or one of the top 3 for sure, because it's such a low-hanging fruit in terms of actually moving the needle on revenue and customer experience, right? You're looking around a website, design might be questionable, this design is interesting, but if you're looking for information on a website, it's a couple pages deep or it's not that clear, you can just talk to Nathan, Samantha, whoever you name the chatbot, and get answers immediately. It really changes the customer experience, the top line revenue for the business. It can cut down on customer service requests because people are actually getting answers on the website. And again, it's an opportunity for you to sell your services. So now you have an actual product that you can actually go and sell to all different sorts of businesses and say, hey, I can add a chatbot to your website. Yeah, I can do it in 30 minutes, and see how many people will say yes to that. So anyways, that's the build. We'll check the entire workflow just so you can see it one more time, but I hope you use it and I hope you implement it. So to summarize what we did, we took an FAQ, we put it into Google Drive, we chunked it, embedded it, stored it in a vector database, and now added a chat function to a website so we can talk to it. This took no time at all. Every website can easily have a chatbot on there to help the folks visiting the website, but maybe also more importantly, help the business survive, get more top line revenue, cut down on customer service requests because people get answers from the chatbot instead of looking around some interestingly designed website that will have you pulling your hair out trying to figure out the most basic information. Call a business and say, hey, I will get you a chatbot in 30 minutes. See what they'll say to you. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. It's the easiest automation and agent to sell. It provides value to so many people. It's such a relief to show up to a website and you actually have a functioning chatbot and not just some chatbot that doesn't work. You can easily implement this. I hope you use it. I hope you found the build useful, and I hope it generates revenue for you and also some businesses that you reach out to. When you're looking at your financial statements and you feel like it's speaking a completely different language, everyone does not like that feeling. This agent will let you chat with your financial statements. No more going line item by line item, looking month by month, trying to find an expense, trying to figure out the total you spent on traveling, groceries, eating out, whatever the case may be. Now you can chat with your financial statement. This gives you so much more flexibility because you can get answers immediately. You can even ask it for insights. For example, I'm trying to save 10% this month. What would you recommend? It will look through your expenses and recommend a course of action for you. I hope you find this build useful. Let's get to it. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. We'll click the plus. These are nodes here. And we will go ahead and add a trigger manually node. So every time we click this, it will execute the workflow and the thing that we're asking it to do. So here in the edit field node, what we're doing is just putting file name. And for the value, I'm going to put the URL of a Google Drive Excel file that I have that just includes all my financial data. So all my bank statements, I just drop in the Google Drive file and it will just pull that information from the URL. Clicking the plus again, we will add Google Drive. Here we will do download file. I connected my Google Drive account. You can check the channel. There's a 2-minute video to set up your Google Drive account, walks you through how to connect that. So since I'm connected, if I click from the list, it will just show me a bunch of documents in my Google Drive. I have that option to find the document and select it. I can also just paste the URL. So I have my financial data in a file and I'm updating that on Google Drive, and I'll just drop the URL here so that we can connect it to the Pinecone vector store, which we will add next. So I'll put the URL. Next node we want to do is Pinecone vector store. Add documents to vector store because we're adding the financial documents from Google Drive to the vector database. So I connected my Pinecone account here, and I'll just quickly walk you through what it would be like to set this up for the first time. This is the page. You can go ahead and sign up here. You can use Gmail, different email credentials, and once you sign up, it'll take you to a dashboard. We're on the dashboard now, and you can see the database. We have some indexes here. You can go ahead and create an index, and once you click create an index, you can kind of name it. So we could say test index, name it whatever you want. And for this, the 3 small is more than enough for the embedding model. Dimensions 1536, important to move that if we're using OpenAI here. And you can just leave all of this as is. So you just click create an index, and here you go. You see you have your test index now in Pinecone. You want to come over here to the left to API keys. Click on that. It'll present you with your API credentials. You can copy and paste those over into N8N, and that will allow N8N to talk to Pinecone. Back here in N8N, I went ahead and connected my API for Pinecone, so now N8N and Pinecone can speak to each other. And from the list here, if I just drop it down, I will be able to see all of my indexes, and I can go ahead and select the index that I created for my personal finances. So we went ahead and selected test index, and we will use that. And now for the embedding model, we did OpenAI 3 small, and we'll go ahead and keep that as is. Now for the document, we want to use the default data loader. We are not sending JSON. We are sending, you can go ahead and select binary. If you're not sending it in JSON, if you're sending PDFs or images, etc., you just go ahead and select binary. And we can leave all of this as is, or actually we want to move this to custom. For the text splitter, we will use the recursive text splitter. Chunk size, this is splitting off the data into chunks and storing it into the database. So we can leave it at 1,000 for this, and we can just add a little overlap of 100. Just keep the continuity of the data. If you ever have any questions on the information you're storing, or how large your chunk size should be, or your chunk overlap, you can just literally go ahead and ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever LLM, your Gemini, and just ask it, hey, what would you suggest for the chunk size? This is what I'm doing. I'm uploading my personal finances, how many files I have, or if you're uploading books or whatever you're uploading, you can go ahead and ask it, and it'll give you a appropriate size. Continuing on, we will add a question and answer chain. So here we are. We just leave that stock. And why are you over there? The model we want to add to it, you can select any model that you want. We will go ahead and use 4.1 mini for this, more than enough to speak to your personal finances. Retriever, we will add our Pinecone retriever. So we will add the vector store retriever, vector store, we will add the Pinecone vector store here. And now again, from this list, if we click the drop down, you will see the index, the test index in this case, but that contains my finances. And we went ahead and added that. And for the embedding model, we would just do OpenAI's embedding model. We add the 3 small, great. And the final item we want to add is a chat trigger. So we can just go ahead, connect this. Now, if we execute this workflow, we just come up here, click the play button, and this will just run through the whole process. It'll download the file from Google Drive, and it will store it to the Pinecone vector database here. So click play. It's executed. So we have downloaded a file, which is a fictitious financial statement from Google Drive, stored it in our vector database in Pinecone. And now we're going to go ahead and chat with the financial statement as if you were chatting with, say, ChatGPT. So if we just come down here and we chat, we can say, and I just asked ChatGPT to generate me a financial statement, so I have no idea what's on there. Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. There we go. I spent almost $1,100. Delta Airlines, Airbnb in Chicago, and Marriott in Chicago. So it's already reading the financial statement. I'm just talking to it. How much did I spend on food this month? It's got a whole bunch of different transactions there for food. And now you can add intelligence to this. So how can I... Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. Say I'm saving for a trip, right? I want to hit my goal. I will say, how can I save 10% on my monthly expenses? Now you have a personal assistant. It'll look through your statement. It's using OpenAI's model to look and say, hey, you're actually maybe spending a little bit too much here. You should think about something different. So let's see what it says to me. To save 10% on your monthly expenses, you should reduce dining out, cook more at home. Look at your subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, YouTube Premium. Look to purchase groceries in bulk. Travel expenses, you can always cut ways. Cutting back on a few dining options, pausing a subscription or two, and finding deals at the grocery store. If you do that over the course of the year, you will save for your travel trip that you're planning. We set this up in less than 5 minutes. Now you can talk to your financial statements. This can help you stay aligned with maybe goals that you have in terms of spending, saving. And the important thing that I think is the greatest value unlock here is adding the model to your financial statements. So it will uncover maybe things that you glance over, you're not necessarily looking at in detail in your financial statements, or it's not connecting because you're not spending too much time looking at it in terms of ways to save, or things that you can do more efficiently, or things that you can get more value from. So I like coming in and just talking to it and asking, are there any optimizations that you see in terms of cutting back or saving here or being more efficient there? And it'll always give me an interesting answer at the end of the month. And I'll always think, kind of when I'm going through my month, that really makes a lot of sense. So maybe if you do get the impulse purchase where you're doing XYZ, you can really think back. You have that on your list now because it gave you the exact amount of money that you're spending on impulse purchases, and you want to cut back on, just stopping at CVS, buying a bunch of candy because it saves you calories and money. That's a good value add and value unlock. So I hope you see the power of this. It literally took 5 minutes to set up. If you implement it in your life, the returns are significant in terms of health and wealth. So I hope you found the build useful, and I'll see you in the next one. You will be able to chat with your Google Drive using a done-for-you template. Imagine being able to chat instead of search. What was on page 5 of the PDF? What did the financials say? How much did I spend this month? This can answer all of those questions for you using a done-for-you template. You can get this full template done for you exactly how we see here in the first comment that's pinned down below the video. You can enter the school community, it's free right now, and go ahead and download this exact template. And as we work through this, I'll show you where you need to make specific changes to the template so that you can actually use it for your file. So your login, the differences between certain lists, and that will allow you to create the setup for yourself without having to build this out node by node. It's a done for you template. You follow along and it's done. So check the link in the bio, download the template. It's a JSON file. And then when you open up N8N, all you'll do is come up right here and import from file and import the JSON file, and you'll have this exact setup and we'll be ready to go. We have the full build right here. So on the left, this is just the ability to take your files from Google Drive and we will download them into a vector database, which I'll show you how to set up. It takes no time at all and it's no code. It gets chunked and embedded in the vector database. It basically gets put in a 3-dimensional plot. That allows us to retrieve the information more efficiently. So that actually gives us the ability to chat with the information from the Google Drive. So on the right side here, we have the chat function, and this is where you can go ahead and ask questions about your financial statement or your PDF or whatever you want to have in the vector database. In this example, we'll use some of my Google Drive files and I'll show you how we can talk to it. First note is just about having to click to execute the workflow. This just means we'll click to trigger the download of our Google Drive file into the Pinecone vector database. And in this is where we actually have the Google Drive URL. So what you want to do is go to your Google Drive, the file that you have that you want to talk with, you'll just copy the URL and come in here and you'll just change this to, you can name this whatever you want. I just put file name and paste in your Google Drive link right here. And after that, when you come into this node for the download file, you want to make sure that you move this. It'll be from list or from URL to URL. And then again, put your Google Drive link. So as we saw here, I have the link, it just changed. Come over here, I'll paste the link in. We have our Pinecone vector store. Setting a Pinecone is free and It takes 2 seconds to set. I'll walk you through right now how to set up the vector database for yourself so that you can actually download the Google Drive file into Pinecone and read it from there. So what you want to do is go to pinecone.io, and you want to sign up. It's free. You can use your email to sign up. You can use Gmail, for example. It's really quick. So after you click sign up, it'll take you to a console dashboard, and I'll show you what that console dashboard looks like right now. Here we are on the Pinecone dashboard. So after you create your account, it'll bring you to this view right here. We want to create an index. The first thing we do is come to index. We'll go ahead up here in the top right and click create an index. And for this, you can call your index whatever you want. Really, just for housekeeping purposes, be thorough in what you're naming it, because if you're putting, for example, your financial statements or books that you've read, or I don't know, you want to be able to know what index you're referencing. So for this example, we'll do research paper. It's test research paper that I'm going to load in, so we'll be able to talk to it from here. And the embedding model, we'll do 3 small. Here for dimension, we will do 1536. So again, name, embedding model, 3 small, OpenAI. Make sure you move this 1536. Serverless, AWS, we can keep this all stock, and we will go ahead and create the index. My picture's in the way. All right, cool. So we have the index created, as we can see up here. Now I have 2. If I go to N8N, I can now tie the index to this node. Go ahead and click on the Pinecone Vector Store, and up here you want to go ahead and set up your Pinecone API. So if you just click on this, it will set you up. Basically, you just have to paste over your API key into N8N, and it will connect N8N with Pinecone so they can communicate with each other, and these will flow through. We have the operation mode, insert documents. From the list, this is the index. I just created the research paper index. If you come and click your drop down here, you'll be able to see all your indexes that you create. And embedding batch size, we can leave it 200. We have our default data loader. You can leave it stock as is when it's bringing, when you bring the JSON file over from the upload from the school community, you can just leave all of this stock. You want to make sure that the text splitter is set to custom, and you have this node there, the recursive text splitter. Now for the vector store retriever, you just want to come back in here, because when you do bring over the JSON file, you will have to put in your index again. If we come into the vector store retriever, we can leave this at 4. When we come to the Pinecone vector store node here, you want to make sure that your API is connected at the top. Again, you'll probably have to log in here because you're bringing over the JSON file. Leave this as is, the operation mode, you see, retrieve documents. From the list, you want to go ahead and click the drop down and select the index that you've created for this. And we have the embedding model, OpenAI. And again, if you don't have OpenAI connected, it's different than your ChatGPT. So if you have ChatGPT, you want to go ahead and set up OpenAI, which we do have different videos on the channel that walk you through this, but it's different than your ChatGPT account. You can go ahead and set that up. It takes 2 minutes to set up. We'll use the text embedding 3 small. What does the vector database do? We're taking a document, we're taking a PDF, we're taking a JSON file or a financial statement, whatever you use for your use case, and we are chunking it. Chunking it means you're breaking it up into parts, into chunks. So if you have a document, it's split into a couple pieces, and then it's embedded into the vector database. So Pinecone Vector Store, all that is, you can just think of it as a 3-dimensional plot, and your information is stored on that 3-dimensional plot in a way that it's easy to retrieve for our chat function. So when we want to talk or get information from the vector database, we can ask it questions. It can quickly locate where that information is and retrieve an answer for us. So that's how it makes it super easy to talk to your financial statement or ask your PDF questions about maybe a story or a script. We have the flow set up here, so we'll just click execute workflow to run it. And we can see that the Google Drive file has been downloaded. It's getting chunked and embedded into the Pinecone vector database. We see that's complete. If we click on the Pinecone vector store, we see the output here and we have some of the information. I'm just going to go ahead and pin this data up here in the top right. Now we can come to the chat function and actually talk to it. Very important to check, because you brought over the JSON file from the school community, you have to double check that you're bringing over the correct index. Here you want to make sure it's the correct index from the index that you created in Pinecone. I have where we walk through together the research paper. I'll come in here, open chat. I'll say, give me a brief summary of this research paper in 4 sentences. It's thinking, it's going into the vector database. We're using the model, here we are. And it talks about AI models, various techniques. So this is a research paper on AI, and it gave me a 4-sentence summary that quick. This is a dozens of pages PDF, and that was relatively fast. Now I'm having a conversation with it instead of having to search through it. Think about what you can put in here, whether it's things that you've read, notes that you've taken, histories, scripts, financial statements, PowerPoints, research reports, meeting notes, whatever it could be. You can do this in no time at all. It took 10 minutes. It's zero code. It was free. And you have the done for you template in the school community, so you didn't have to build the nodes out. You literally just plug and play, and now you're getting answers. So instead of searching for stuff, you're just chatting. Anyways, we have multiple builds. We have a build a day just about in the school community. We go over everything. If you ever have questions, you have the done for you templates. It really adds productivity to your life. It allows you to sell these agents. It allows you to get leverage using the tools that are out there that are just getting better every day. In joining the community, you stay on top of the new information coming out and the new tools. So I hope you found the build useful, and I'll see you in the next one. And that's the build. If you found it useful, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and let us know in the comments what type of build you want to see next. The school community, which is linked down below, has all these templates built for you. You don't have to build a single node. You just plug in your credentials and you're ready to go. Whether you're starting an AI agency, consulting businesses using AI tools, or just using them in your personal life, we have it all for you there. By the end of this video, you will have built a hyper-realistic avatar of yourself, a digital clone. This digital clone can read like you, can talk like you, looks like you, has your facial expressions, and best of all, does not need you to perform. It doesn't need to sleep. You can feed it scripts that you type yourself, or you can leverage AI to create scripts for you. AI feeds the scripts to your digital avatar, and your digital avatar reads them. Now imagine being able to create content at the click of a button. Well, that's the power you will have by the end of this video. Let's get into it. Learning this stuff alone is tough. That's why I created a private community where you can get answers, share your wins, and connect with people on the same journey. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. So we are at heygen.com. heygen.com. We'll go ahead and sign up here. You can sign up for free. The paid plan gives you some more flexibility. I am going to sign up with my Gmail. And here we are. What's going on with the internet? Instant upsell. I like it. All right, we'll go with free first. See what we can get. We'll do personal. Describes you content creator. It's painful to call yourself that. A hobbyist. What is your API? We want to use the API here. Okay. So we can come in here, and I think we're gonna have to pay for our avatar, huh?
Want to create an instant or lifestyle avatar with HeyGen? Here's how to film it right. Choose a background that is quiet and well lit.
The craziest thing, you don't even know if these people are real or not. That's how good some of this tech is. You're like, is this an avatar? Is this a real
Depending
person?
on
What's
what
going on?
equipment you have available, you can shoot your avatar with
All right, great. So we'll get started. Okay, so we want to take some footage here, 2 to 5 minutes of unedited footage, pretty much just talking into the camera. What I do here anyways. So, all right, I'm gonna film this and then drop in the file and we'll pick up from there. So basically you're coming to HeyGen, you're signing up with a free account, you're going to create avatar, and then you have to drop in 2 to 5 minutes of yourself speaking to the camera in kind of a normal tone, normal pace. All right, so I create an avatar of myself and here it is. So we'll go ahead and play it. Hey Fitbozar, your hyper-realistic avatar is ready. Try creating videos with it. Also, click the feedback button to share what you think. Hope you enjoy. I don't know. I think it's pretty legit. I can't tell. I'm like, is that me or am I me? Who's me? Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together. Okay, so we have the avatar now, and what we can do now is go back into N8N and start working on the workflow, and I'll show you how HeyGen comes into play. And we can connect it to N8N and we'll take it from there. First node we will go ahead and add is the trigger manually node. The second node we will add is the set node, and in here we will go ahead and add a string, and for this I'm going to do a script. And what you can do, for example, if you wanted to do I don't know, like a news update, you can maybe go to ChatGPT, generate me the news update of today or past week. If you're focusing on finance, tech, whatever your niche is or your interest is, you can ask it for an update and then generate a script there and bring it over. This is where you would paste your script in. I'm going to go ahead and create just a short. So I do shorts for the channel, and I'll say create a hook and a script for me through ChatGPT, and then I'll go ahead and take it from ChatGPT and bring it over here and paste it in. Put in a script here. I actually just typed it out myself. I think maybe that shows. Maybe I should use ChatGPT. So it's pull the latest version of my resume and email it to hello@fitbozar.com. This agent allows me to chat with my files in my Google Drive. I'll show you how to build it in less than 10 minutes. Comment agent and I'll send you the free template from my school community. So this is like a little short that I maybe would post to social media. It has a hook about being able to chat your Google Drive. Instead of searching through it, you'll just type to the agent, hey, pull the latest resume and send me the email of it. And I can show you how to build in 10 minutes, which this is something that we do in the school community. And we built in the school community that people find helpful is being able to chat their Google Drive. It just saves you so much time. I gave it a very particular script here, but this isn't necessarily the script that the avatar will read. It's going to go through an AI agent who's going to generate a script for me based off of this. So I left it at this amount because I want particularly a video about being able to chat your Google Drive, being able to set up in less than 10 minutes, and being able to get that example on my free school community. I can add more content here talking about we do things that allow you to follow up with your leads, or we do things that allow you to generate videos. But I just gave it this example. So if you have a different use case of, say, you are reading the news and you can just put like the daily kind of tech roundup or finance or whatever the case is, roundup here, the agent will take this content into consideration when it's generating what you want it to give as an output. So this is kind of the maybe source of truth or true direction that the agent is taking right here. So I kept it short and tight because I'm looking for an exact type of output, but if you add more information here, you can easily do a roundup or add multiple paragraphs. It's really up to you. I went ahead and clicked execute step up here. So that just gives us an output on this edit fields node. And I just clicked up here to pin the output. So that just means that we don't have to come through and continually run and execute these two nodes. So now we have it right here, our item, which is my script ready to go. Click the plus sign, we'll add another node, AI agent. And in here, we can do define as below, and I'll just drop in the script, drag and drop. Another thing we want to do is add a system message. So this is where I'm telling the model what it is kind of doing. I'm giving it a message in terms of it is a painful to say create. It's not a creator, it's a creator, I don't know. Educator, person who shares things about AI. We'll create a script for that, and this will tell the agent how to behave. So I'll go ahead and fill that in right now. Here's the system prompt that I gave the agent. So you can see you are an engaging script writer. I gave it some core requirements. I want it to be spoken delivery, cover a few use cases, and use a punchy, brief but informative type of tone and style. And I also gave it an example, a style example of what I'm looking for, and I also gave it some notes at the end. Think of a short TikTok video. That's the kind of angle that we're going for. And now what we can do is go ahead and add a chat model. So for this, you can select any model that you're comfortable with, or if you have a preference. I'm going to go ahead and use OpenAI 4.1 mini. And again, you can connect your OpenAI account to N8N if you haven't done so. This is different than your ChatGPT. We have videos on the channel that walk you through this, but if you just go ahead and click over here, it will walk you through the steps to be able to connect your account. So you can also select different models in here. I'm going to use 4.1 mini. The next node we will go ahead and add is an HTTP request. This we will go ahead and get our avatar. So it'll be a get. We will go ahead and post the URL here. This is the URL you'll use, api.heygen.com, v2 avatars. We will go ahead and select send headers. And for this, we will do accept. And for the value, we want to do application/JSON. We also want to add a parameter, and for this it would be X API key. We want to pull our HeyGen API, and we'll just copy the API token here. So we'll go ahead and copy this, come back to N8N and paste it in here. After pasting it in here, we can go back to the canvas. Here on the canvas, we can go ahead and execute this node. Again, this is to get the avatar. I'll go ahead and name this just so it's clear. We will add another node here. Again, this will be an HTTP. Here we have the URL. The difference we're making here from the get avatars is the ending, right? Instead of avatars, we have voices. Authentication none, headers, we do the same thing except application JSON, X API key, it's the same API key. You'll go ahead and paste this in here, and that will be our, I titled it up here. I went ahead and executed the step here so we can see that we have an output, and there are a few different options for voice ID. So we have Fit Bozar's voice, we have, I can't say that name, but sounds interesting, Cheerful voice, we have Rudy, we have all kinds of voices. Ivy. It could be interesting to mix up the voices on your avatar. I think that'd be fun. But anyways, we have the voice ID here, and we'll be able to reference that later in the build. So we just did the HTTP request to get the avatar. Now we have the other one for the voices. We have the voice ID and we have the avatar ID. Did was hit execute step, it took some of the information I gave it and it generated a script for me. So using ChatGPT, or Model 4.1 Mini, the agent created a script, and here's the output that we have. Want to chat with your Google Drive files and pull your latest resume in seconds? This agent does exactly that. Grab your resume and email it instantly. I'll show you how to build it in under 10 minutes. Comment agent and get the free template from my school community, which you can go to the school community, get the free template, chat with your Google Drive within 10 minutes, and it'll save you so much time and benefit your life. You're a smart person, you're going to do that. But anyways, we ran it, and this is the output. So I just pinned the output so we don't have to continue. Here we are. We have get avatar, which was the HTTP request. We pinned it. We have get voices, HTTP request. We pinned it. Now, we pinned the output here for the agent, and we'll go ahead and add another node. This will be an HTTP request. And now we're going to generate the video. So we got the voice, we got the avatar, now we'll actually get the video. In here we have a post method. The URL is a little different now because it'll end in generate because we're generating the video. We have a header, we're accept, application JSON, again similar to the other two. X API key, you paste your API key from the website here. You do JSON body content type, the body using JSON, and here I'll show you this. We have video inputs, voice. This is coming from here, right? So what the AI agent outputs will be what the voice will read, I guess you could say. So we'll drag that here. How did we get the avatar ID? We have to change the voice ID, but the avatar ID, we come back to get avatar. Get avatar, we have the avatar ID for Fit Bozar right here. We'll just copy that over and drop it into the generate video node. Here in the get voices node, we have the voice ID over here, which is associated with my avatar, even though you can use different kinds. So we'll copy this over and bring it to the generate video node. We go back to the generate video node. Down here, I have to change the voice ID because I duplicated the avatars. So we have the voice ID, we have the avatar ID, and the input text is being pulled from the output of the AI agent. A quick edit here, the URL for the generate video node is v2/video/generate. I think I had just put generate previously, so it's v2/video/generate. Again, this is the generate video node, so here we are. The next node we want to add is a HTTP request. In here, we will actually get the video. In here, we have the get, and here's the URL. Again, just be mindful of the URL. v1 video status.get, authentication none, parameters, we're using video ID. Where are we going to get that? That will be generated right here when we execute the previous node. We'll get a video ID. We'll walk through that in a second. Headers, using fields below, accept, application JSON, X API key, you pull the API key from HeyGen. So now, if we go back, we will execute the generate video node and get a video ID. So in here, I will input all of the API keys and execute the step. We're in generate video, I executed the step, and we can see the output here. I have a video ID. I pinned the output so I don't have to continually run this, but now we can use this in the next node. Here in the get video node, we can see that I brought over the video ID, right? So generate video, I brought over the video ID. I added some nodes here. So next to the get video node, you would just add an if node. We come into the if node, we have the condition. We want to make sure that we actually get the data before moving on. So you can copy and paste this in the template that is found in the school community. It's free. If it is false, we will wait. So we add a wait node to the false output. We come in here, I just left the time interval at 5 seconds. It'll wait. It will loop back to get video. It'll continually loop until we do get the video. And if the data is complete, we will go to the edit fields that we tied to true, which this will get us the final video. So what we'll do is actually get the video URL. So it's manual mapping, final video. Here is the video URL. And now we have our workflow. I will come and get video because I pinned all the other outputs. So if we come here and we execute it, we'll just click play at this part. I just dropped in my API key into the get video. I will click play here. Why am I executing the node from here? Because I pinned all the outputs previously. So I pinned the get avatar, I pinned get voices, I pinned the output on AI agent, I pinned the output on generate video. So now we can just play from here. And here we are. So the node executed. We have the output here. So if we go into get video, we'll just pin this and we will just run this as well. We see that that has been successful. We go to edit fields. We have the input here. So we'll run this. And here we are. We have our URL. This was kind of piecemealed by having to play each node just because I pinned the outputs, because you do get tokens, and if you're continually running this in the build out, you're just wasting tokens. So to pin the output really helps cut down on having to go through the whole workflow again, and also saves on tokens and energy, importantly, because we don't want to use these models for no reason if we already have an output. Anyways, we are in edit fields here. We have an output, and if I go to this link, we should see the HeyGen avatar speaking the script that the OpenAI model generated for us based on a little script that I gave it. I took the link from the edit field that gave us the video link. I input it into the browser, and now here we have the avatar that will speak. So I don't know if I'm the avatar, if this is the avatar, who is the avatar from your viewpoint, but we'll go ahead and watch it.
Want to chat with your Google Drive files and pull your latest resume in seconds? This agent does exactly that. Grab your resume and email it instantly. I'll show you how to build it in under 10 minutes. Comment agent to get the free template from my school community.
That's pretty cool. I don't know, I think my voice may be a little different, but what if we just added a different voice completely, right? But anyways, let's go back. Take two. Let's see what it...
Want to chat with your Google Drive files and pull your latest resume in seconds? This agent does exactly that. Grab your resume and email it instantly. I'll show you how to build it in under 10 minutes. Comment agent to get the free template from my school community.
We're so cooked. I mean, that's not even that bad, right? Like, we put it together relatively quickly. It's a no-code solution. Can you imagine a year from now or 2 years from now, you're not going to be able to tell if you're talking to a person or you're talking to an avatar that was created in the school community. So, wow. Want to see faster results? My community is packed with people who are already building and automating. Get access to their strategies and shortcuts. We're diving deep into the topics, and I'm sharing all the best strategies. Join us. The link is in the description. I'll see you inside. Here's an overview of the whole workflow. What did we do? We went to HeyGen. We uploaded a video that's 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. It created an avatar of ourselves. We did get avatar here. We did get voices. Again, with the get avatar, there are multiple avatars you could have selected. With the get voices, there are multiple voices you could have selected. We're doing a clone avatar of ourselves. In edit fields, this is where I was very concise on what I put in the script there, because I wanted the AI agent to generate a hook in a script based on the ability to find a build in the school community that lets you chat with your Google Drive instead of searching through your Google Drive, because I just love that workflow. And I think it's so beneficial to literally everyone, whether you're working at a company, your personal life, your business. And I wanted a script for that, for social media to post a short. We connected to an AI agent, connected to OpenAI. OpenAI did an iteration of that script for us. We were able to generate the video, and get the URL, and create a clone of myself reading a script that OpenAI generated. This just helps with the scale and the leverage, because I can literally come in here now and generate another script and another, and I'm not even thinking about the script, right? It's like in edit fields, I kind of want the ability to talk about chatting with my Google Drive. If I put, again, news items, or even if you're doing maybe a series or a kind of storyline, you can have the AI agent generate this for you, so you're not sitting there thinking like, oh, what's the script, or is that, no, just give it to the AI agent, leverage it, and it'll generate the script for you and the video for you. That didn't take any time to generate really after we set it up. So you can just cycle through these and crank out however many iterations as you need for you. I hope that you found the tool very interesting. I hope you found the tool useful. I hope you want to build more of these. And if you do, jump in the school community. It's free. You can see more builds like this, get more help. But it just gives you so much power, and you shouldn't sleep on kind of the technology that's coming out, because it could be very beneficial for you. And it's not that difficult when you're doing it with people. It's fun. You can learn it relatively quickly, and look at what you're able to achieve. You can get so much more content exponentially faster, and it just gives you more opportunity and more leverage to execute whatever you're trying to do on your end. So I hope you found the build useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Quick pause. If this video is remotely helpful, hit the subscribe button and we'll level up together.